The Europa League live on Talksport.
Angle's tight. How has he scored that? That is quite sensational from James Maddison.
My view on my role has never been about self-preservation or security. It's about trying to achieve, and I'm still in the position where we can do that.
But really, Ange's season and arguably Spurs' career is going to rest on the cup competitions this season.
It's 3 precious away points in the Europa League to plant one foot firmly in the round of 16.
This Tottenham side is perfectly capable of winning a piece of silverware this season.
Yes, I agree with you.
Europa League.
I think all the eggs in the basket of the Europa.
Yeah, well, that's a chance.
I'll be disappointed if Tottenham didn't win something this year.
We're in a great position to still achieve something really special this year. This is a tough spot we're in, but the possibilities of us doing something special are still there.
Son into the area to settle it! Was there ever any doubt?
Tonight is a huge game for Ange Postecoglou. The toxicity at Tottenham has been building due to an awful run of results, culminating with defeat against Leicester last weekend, which saw them drop to 15th in the Premier League table. Protests against chairman Daniel Levy's reign are getting louder too. The surroundings of their magnificent stadium, not enough to mask the lack of success on the pitch, and you feel like things are beginning to come to a head here in North London. The last thing Spurs fans want to contemplate is a home defeat against the minnows Elfsborg of Sweden and the possibility of missing out on an automatic last 16 spot in the Europa League. Kickoff coming very shortly at 8 p.m. We are sat here in the beautiful Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, just behind the former Bolton striker Johan Elmander, who's here for the Swedish TV colleagues. So rather aptly, I should tell you that Bolton have a new manager in the shape of the former Plymouth and Stoke boss Stephen Schumacher, who's been appointed on a 3.5-year deal. Reminder, by the way, this game brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Alongside me, Chelsea FA Cup winner Scott Minto and Talksport's Jim Proudfoot for another busy night. 18 games kicking off at the same time. Manchester United 4th in the Europa League table. They will cement a top 8 finish with a win over Romanians FCSB over on Talksport 2 tonight. Spurs 6th on 14 points. Only a win guarantees that last 16 place. They can be caught by any team all the way down to Union Saint-Gilloise in 15th. A draw could see them fall into the playoff spots. Rangers have done enough to secure their playoff position, 13th on 11 points. Taking on USG tonight, a win for either side could, if results fall kindly, lift them into the top 8. There'll be plenty of permutations throughout the evening, and Jim Proudfoot will have them covered for you, I am sure. He looks at me with a confused look on his face. He'll try his best. Anyway, listen, Scott, very quickly, let's talk about the atmosphere tonight. It's going to be very, very important here that Spurs make a good start and certainly don't go 1-0 down as a big light show and the music atmosphere begins here in North London. That defeat against Leicester was such a tough one to take, because firstly Leicester came in off the back of 7 straight defeats, but it was the way Tottenham lost the game. They were 1-0 up, they conceded 2 goals quickly and then really offered very little. Why was that?
Well, I mean, when you're down there, and I say down there, obviously it's not quite relegation zone, but it is relegation formula at the moment. Hugh, I can tell you, and I can talk from experience as well, the same player with confidence and without, they just look 2 totally different players. And when the pressure's on, they've got to be able to handle it. We spoke earlier about, it seems to be the youngsters that actually are doing really well, although Dejan Kulusevski has been the best player for Spurs this season, although even in the last couple of weeks his form has dropped just a little. But no, absolutely, you cannot go 1-0 ahead at home against one of, if not the worst team in the Premier League, and then somehow find a way to lose the game. It's a mental thing for me. Yes, obviously there's lots of injuries, and he can definitely say about that, but that Spurs team that went out against Leicester was good enough. And look, you look at the Spurs team they had against Crystal Palace, they got their first win of the season. That first win of the season for Ipswich as well, the team that Spurs had out. These players are good enough. It's not all on Ange, it's not all on Daniel Levy. The players do have to take responsibility, but I think Ange and Levy himself, I mean, we could talk as much as Leanne and Quickly were talking about United there. Obviously the kickoff's not far away.
But look at it. Look at the atmosphere inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It is a fantastic football ground. We've got videos playing of some great moments of Spurs down the years. They're not lifting any trophies in these videos, Scott, let's be perfectly frank. but it's an evening out, and it's a fantastic evening out for tourists from all over the world to come here and watch a Tottenham Hotspur match. There you go, we see a little glimpse of a European trophy back in the 60s there, but that's really what we're talking about.
There was 1984 there as well. I mean, Hugh, how can it be that we are quarter of the way through the century and all Tottenham Hotspur Football Club has won is one League Cup?
Well, I'll tell you why. 42% of revenue spent on player wages. Deloitte tell us that's the lowest amongst the top 20 highest earning clubs in the world. Put simply, this is not a team that's intent on winning.
Right, well, it's the culture. Again, we were listening before, to Leanne and Cookie about Manchester United, and you and I could be talking about them as well. And what Ruben Amorim is trying to do is turn the culture around. That's the important thing. For too long, it hasn't been the case with Spurs. You've got an owner who is probably the best stadium, certainly football stadium in Europe. The training ground is just amazing. The food even was amazing, as we were munching into that earlier. And yet, and look, they've got rock concerts coming. I think the Stones are playing in the summer. Off the pitch, it's absolutely perfect, but the fans don't care about that. I understand from a business point of view, and even from a PSR point of view, he has to try and make things and earn things and bring money in so you can then spend. And Levy has spent in terms of transfer fees, but those wages are the important thing, because the top players want very good wages, and they're not the ones that are being brought here.
And you say the Stones are playing in the summer. They didn't have hamstring problems. They'll be playing tonight. That's the problem that they've got.
Well, absolutely. But again, I go back to, I mean, you're right. It's 12 injuries or so. And Van der Ven, we're all crossing our fingers that he's actually going to last. And hopefully he doesn't last 90 minutes. Whatever happens with the score, he's got to be looked after. But the bottom line, I go back to that Palace game and the Ipswich game. These are strong teams that should be winning against, at home, teams that hadn't won a Premier League game that season. Everyone has to take a collective responsibility, but there's no doubt it comes from the top.
Feels like a very important evening here. Big night for the manager of Spurs, of course, but also Manchester United and Rangers to show that their teams are growing, developing. All three will want to book a place in the last 16 of the Europa League. We'll have updates of Rangers versus Union Saint-Gilloise right here. Talksport 2 has full commentary of FCSB versus Manchester United. You can get it on the Talksport app. Ask your smart speaker for Talksport 2. You'll find it on your DAB radio as well. You can follow all of the twists and turns throughout the evening with our watch-along show, Talksport Goals, with Sam Ellard on your smart TV and on the Talksport YouTube channel. But here we wonder, will the crisis deepen for Ange Postecoglou, Daniel Levy and Tottenham Hotspur? A spot in the top 8 of the Europa League group phase already in their hands, but will they let it slip and in doing so increase the calls for their manager to be sacked? Spurs versus Elfsborg, live on Talksport in the company of former Chelsea and West Ham defender Scott Minto and our very own Jim Proudfoot.
Thank you, Hugh, and a very good evening to you. And as we reach the final night of the Europa League group stage, there's not a huge amount of jeopardy for Tottenham. They know their European journey continues after tonight, but the difference between finishing in the top 8 and not is immense. It isn't just the desire to avoid an additional round of games and an additional chance of being eliminated. It is simply the workload and the psychology. With an injury list in double figures, Tottenham simply don't need to play 2 more games in February. 6, quite enough for them. 8 would be a nightmare. They need to be able to put Europe on the back burner for a month whilst they sort their league form out. Good news is that Spurs are definitely in the top 8 if they win. A draw may well be good enough too. They'd only need to start panicking if either Galatasaray were winning at Ajax or Olympiacos were 3-0 up at home to Karabag. It's not quite as simple as that. They'd still need a couple of other results to go against them too, but those could well happen. Essentially though, until either Galatasaray are ahead or Olympiacos are 3 up, Spurs can be happy with a draw, and Elfsborg will be happy with 1-2. That would be enough for them to finish in the top 24 and make the playoff round and get them out of a European group for the first time in their history. Tottenham line-up: Austin in goal, Porro, Van der Ven, Davis and Gray, Bergvall, Bentancur and Sarr, Moore, Richarlison and Son. And we're underway with Spurs kicking from right to left in their white shirts, and Elfsborg in their traditional kit of yellow shirts, black shorts. And very interesting that Archie Gray is playing at centre-half, Ben Davis playing at left-back. So a slight reshuffle in terms of the Tottenham back line. Gray back in the centre and in possession here, bringing the ball out of the centre circle. Going back towards Van der Ven. This is a night when Spurs can take care of business without having to worry about other results. Win and they're in the last 16 in Europe. Anything else and they're going to need some favours from elsewhere. Here they are on the front foot straight away. Ball played in. Richarlison couldn't really get hold of it. Son from a tight angle took a deflection and the shot loops up into the hands of Pedersen.
Great start from Spurs. Is exactly what you want, to try and be on the front foot and get these fans in this incredible stadium behind them. It is a tough time when you're going out there. Sometimes when you're lacking in confidence, it can feel like you're running in treacle. That shirt weighs 2 or 3 kilos. Really important to start on the front foot. The Spurs fans want to get behind their players. They want to get behind Ange. They don't want to see another manager getting sacked. But I do think the next few weeks are absolutely crucial. Not really with this game, but I do also think it's the perfect game. The situation that Elfsborg are in. Well, the season finished in November. They've only played a couple of games since then. They finished 7th in the league table. This should be a perfect game for Spurs to try and get some confidence back.
Jägber working the ball out to the Elfsborg left-hand side for Hult. And it goes out for a throw that'll be taken by Elfsborg themselves over on that far touchline. They're playing with the back 5 in front of Pedersen, the goalkeeper. Hedlund, Holmgren, Henriksson, Jägber and Hult. Then Kassem and Thomason, Zanelli and Rapp and Abdullahi leading the line, the Ghanaian who is quick. He's not got a great goal-scoring record, but he is very pacey. Now, Jägber's got a half-decent long throw on him. Now, this is the first chance for us to see it. Launched in towards the edge of the penalty area. It's nothing like Tamworth's long throw, I can assure you of that. And as Spurs repelled the first phase, it was hooked back in by Thomason. And straight through for Brandon Austin. He's playing the 3rd game of his Spurs career tonight. Down towards Ben Davies. Davies, a veteran of nearly 100 ties in Europe. And just working the ball forward towards Son, and it's played back and deflected straight out. And it's a throw again that'll be taken by Elfsborg on the right-hand side.
When you said half decent, I was waiting to see exactly what it'd be. I think it was a perfect explanation. It was decent, but only half decent. Didn't really go in the box, did it? But, I mean, just on Ben Davies being left back and Archie Gray being at centre-half, which obviously is different. Both of them played in the back 4 against Leicester, but it was Archie Gray playing left-back. I just think with Mickey van der Ven coming in and being that left-sided centre-half, it makes sense. Square pegs, square holes, but Ben Davies left-footed as left-back and Archie Gray, who can play it almost anywhere as a centre-half.
That's a great turn by Son, coming in off the left-hand touchline. Elfsborg very quickly, a very well-regimented defensive side, getting themselves back goal side. Tottenham will work it out to the right-hand side of midfield for Sarr. The other thought about the back 4, where's the strength in the Elfsborg team? It is the pace of Abdullahi through the middle, and Davies will be the slowest in the back 4. So from that point of view, don't have him in the middle. Put him out at left back, and Abdullahi's pace will then come up against Gray and Van der Ven, who are that bit quicker. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I think Van der Ven will certainly be that one to keep an eye on him. And any ball that looks like it's about to go over the top, he'll be dropping off and using his pace, just testing that hamstring out.
Now, best for Zanelli, winning the ball back in the midfield. The younger of the Zanelli brothers, his older brother on the bench tonight, having been rotated out of the team by Oscar Hiljemark, the young Swedish coach, just 32 years of age, already in his 2nd managerial role. Hult, one of the players in this Elfsborg team who's older than his manager. Picking it up the left wing back, driving it forward. Kassem, who catches the eye with his range of passing. Chesting the ball down on the left-hand touchline. Good ball forward from him to Abdullahi. Towards the edge of the penalty area. He's already been forced wide, and Van der Ven's back in business. Just shrugged him out of possession. And Porro will clear. It's not a great clearance, though. Falling straight to the blonde-haired Hult, who will try and find a way through. Good defending again by Tottenham. Second ball won by Jägber. Chance for Thomason. And now Zanelli. Right-footed effort from probably the thick end of 40 yards from Holmgren. It didn't even reach the edge of the penalty area. But Spurs can't get their foot on the ball to get it away. Hult will play it back for Jägber. Left-footed ball in from him towards the edge of the penalty area. Rapp trying to bring the ball under control, couldn't do so. Spurs again will clear, but Richarlison picking up the ball only about 15 yards outside his own penalty area, showing you just how deep Spurs are at the moment. They've effectively been able to work it out, though, with Gray to Austin and out towards Davis, and Here's the former Djurgården midfielder, Lucas Bergvall in the midfield. It's a lovely switch of play from him. Out of the right, Pedro Porro is going to be able to motor forward. Richarlison wanting the early ball. It's just a little bit too high for him. He stretched and he did get that blonde hair on it, but it's come off the top of his head as he was on the stretch and got out of play for a goal kick.
He needs to grow that hair a little bit longer, doesn't he? A bit too short, couldn't quite get on the end of it, but as we saw against Leicester, Porro to Richarlison, that was a great ball. This was almost a great ball. Just in behind, he whips it in with spin. It's over the top of the centre half, so then it's a question of can Richarlison get there? He leaps high, but not quite able to get a proper connection on it.
We will keep you up to date with the goals as they go in from across the continent tonight. This is one of 18 games taking place simultaneously. As Richarlison wins a free kick on halfway. He's actually stayed down injured, although he's okay. He's just getting back up now, feeling his left ankle. Still 0-0 everywhere. In fact, the first goal's just gone in. Sporting Braga taking the lead against Lazio. Braga out unless they win and other results go well. Lazio top of the table. Their top 8 position already guaranteed, but it is Braga that lead there. We'll give you the ramifications of all of the goals as they go in. Spurs currently 6th in the table. Manchester United live in Romania right now over on Talksport 2, currently 4th. Tottenham bringing it forward again inside the box. Bergvall's able to take over after Moore couldn't find a way through. Deflection on the cross comes in, and Gottfried Rapp, who started on the left-hand side last week but is playing on the right tonight, is able to pick up the ball. He'll bring it clear, but doesn't get towards halfway before Spurs have it back. Bentancur really drilling it forward. Sarr tried to divert it into the path of Richarlison. Bergvall's there to win it back. Play down towards Son again. And here's Son Heung-min bringing it forward. Left-footed ball curved inside the penalty area. Easily headed away by Henriksson. Cleared out towards Bentancur. There's 15 yards outside the penalty area. Archie Gray behind him. Ben Davies to his left. Both of those get a touch before it's worked back Son's way again, and he's taking on and beating Headland, who then stuck a foot out once he got past him, tripped him up, and it's a free kick to Spurs, a yard to the left-hand side of the penalty area, and only about 8 or 9 yards from the dead ball lines. Is a really good position, Scott Minto.
Yeah, maybe he's not quite got the pace that he once had, Son, but when he's running at a defender and he's done little step-overs, it's so difficult for the defenders to kind of read the situation. You want to try and look at the ball, not the man, but he's going left and right. He's not sure which way he's going to go. And in the end, he just took a guess there, Headland, didn't he? And brought him down for sure. I don't know why he was complaining. It was a definite foul.
This game brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Still 0-0, 8 minutes gone on a night where the Spurs win leaves them in the top 8 and a draw may well be good enough as well. And what can Spurs do to aid their course here? It's an inviting angle for a shot curved towards the top right-hand corner. Son actually tried to drill it in towards the near post instead, and it was easily blocked. Disappointing set piece, but Hulk got it away, and Spurs will hope that the corner's better than the free kick.
Yeah, it's a terrible shot, wasn't it? And it did lend itself to have that shot whip it in and see if anyone can get a touch on it coming in. And yeah, it was really, really poor. Got away with that one. Take 2.
And this one further away from the corner flag. Son standing over it again. There are 8 inside the penalty area to attack this, and it's headed narrowly wide. Wouldn't have counted anyway, because there was a foul on the goalkeeper. It was well attacked in there by Ben Davies, but just leaning across the keeper, Isak Pettersson, who's kept clean sheets in his last 2 European ties, so it wouldn't have counted. I think the presence of Mikey Moore actually probably is what incurred the wrath of the referee. Free kick.
It's definitely why the free kick was taken, but he didn't do anything wrong, Mikey Moore. He's standing in front of the keeper. He's not supposed to just move out the way for him, and he didn't foul him in any way. Ben Davies had the header 2 yards out. As you say, it wouldn't have counted anyway, but there's no way that should have been a foul.
Referee tonight is the Austrian, Sebastian Gishammer. Alan Kias is on VAR duty. Had the ball been headed into the net, it would have been looked at, but I don't think that one would have been overturned.
No, it wasn't. It wouldn't have been a clear and obvious error, but it wouldn't have been far off.
Ferencváros leading AZ Alkmaar by a goal to 0. Elsewhere, that's of little consequence as far as Spurs are concerned. Bergvall's got possession. So games involving Anderlecht at home to Hoffenheim, Galatasaray away at Ajax, Bodo Glimt away at Nice, and Olympiacos at home to Karabakh. Those are the important ones, really, as far as Spurs are concerned, in helping to define their fate if they can't sort themselves out. Charlison playing the ball forward here. Ben Davies has just gone down. He felt contact in his back from Headland. Made the most of it. He really was trying to buy a penalty. Nothing given, I think quite rightly. Bergvall winning it back as Rapp tried to get the ball clear down the Elfsborg right very quickly. Son has brought it back under control. And then Bergvall can work it through the middle for Pedro Porro, who will come forward. It's 0-0 here on Talksport. 11 gone. 0-0 live over on Talksport 2. Manchester United away to the artist formerly known as Steaua Bucharest. Now, both of whom are in the top 8, but because they're playing each other, that just gives Spurs a little bit more wriggle room, because they know if they get a draw in this game, they're bound to finish above one of the teams in that match. Davis inside the 6-yard box here for Spurs, and thought, I think rightly, that he got a corner there, but it's been given as a goal kick. A little double ricochet, and the referee must have seen as a triple ricochet. It's a goal kick that will be taken by Elfsborg's Isak Pedersen. I think the pattern of the play is set pretty much, Scott. 11 minutes played, loads of Spurs possession, and Elfsborg just trying to flood the midfield and see what they can manage on the counter-attack.
Yeah, and fair play to Ben Davies playing that left-back role. He perhaps don't want to be bombing on up and down for the full 90 minutes, but he certainly started that way. He felt he should have had a penalty, but it's actually his leg that went against the Elfsborg defender in the end. But I love the way he's trying to bomb on as much as possible.
Spurs 6th in the league table as things stand. Good enough for them. Manchester United 4th, similarly good enough. Rangers 13th. 0-0 at home to Saint-Gilloise of Belgium. Rangers could finish in the top 8, but they need to win, and they need a few other results to go their way. We'll be around the ground shortly, find out how Rangers and Manchester United have started in their respective matches. This one dominated by Tottenham without coming close really to have anything to show for it. Just that one header wide that wouldn't have counted anyway from Davis. Gray's in possession on halfway. He's played it to his left-hand side here for Van der Ven, who hasn't been tested in the early stages of this game in his comeback. Bergvall away from his compatriot Gottfried Rapp, playing it back to Archie Gray. Gray towards Porro. Porro then played it back behind Gray, who just had to go through the gears very quickly, stretching, get a left foot to it to bring it under control. Back from him to Van der Ven. Son now to Bergvall. And the blonde-haired Swede towards Ben Davis. Davis working it through the midfield. Pedro Porro's got it in the heart of the midfield here for Tottenham. Sarr scampering after it. Porro's passing radar not particularly successfully calibrated so far tonight, and he's not given one away, but he's not played the perfect passes with a great degree of care at times. Ben Davies bringing it forward again. Down from him towards Son. Son level with the edge of the Elfsborg penalty area. He's gone away from Rapp. Good little 1-2. He's got it behind Headland, who eventually is able to recover just in front of Holmian and knock it out of play for another Tottenham corner.
Yeah, really good play down the left. Again, Ben Davies involved there. He laid it off to Son, bombed in behind. Son went past one player, made a cheeky little 1-2. Son was onside. And in the end, he's just tried to flick it with the outside of his right foot. Got no power on it, but still, Spurs get a corner.
And it's a corner which will be taken on the Tottenham left. Taken by Son, hit him very deep, and he just took a defensive flick on its way through. Absolutely vital that it did. It's gone out for another corner, but without that touch, Van der Ven steaming in, surely would have scored.
Yeah, they look dangerous, Spurs, on set pieces, don't they? Normally the North London rivals who look more dangerous on set pieces, but it's been a couple of times now. Great flick on, he's just at the far post there. Because the ball was so good, doesn't matter who gets the flick on, even a defender can't get proper control on it. And Van der Ven just at the far post, he hits the ground, knows he was inches away from making that 1-0.
Just came off the top of Holmien's head. It was a very good defensive clearance from the veteran Swedish centre-half. This corner taken on the right, worked in towards Bergvall, and it worked better on the training ground than it has in anger. As he just swung it in towards the near post, it bypassed everybody, and the Elfsborg fans away on the far side, a sea of yellow and black, had the perfect view of that and were able to laugh it goodbye as it went out of play. 15 minutes gone then, 0-0 between Spurs and Elfsborg here on Talksport. Let's find out what's going on in our live game over on Talksport 2. Manchester United in action in Romania in front of Jeff Peters.
Well, no goals in the opening 14 minutes, but FCSB have come close. Mihai Popescu, the former Hearts and Hamilton defender, stabbing it goalwards from a free kick, but put it just wide. Malacia has been booked for United. It's 0-0.
Jeff, thank you. First anti-Daniel Levy chants emanate around the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as Austin comes out of his penalty area to head the ball out of play. It's a throw that will be taken on the right-hand side by Elfsborg, midway inside Tottenham territory, but they've been happy to work it back with Hedlund going back for Holmien, and now Yegba, the Ghanaian international centre-half, playing it back to his goalkeeper. Long ball forward from him. Abdoulaye trying to judge the bounce better than Van der Ven, who got it away at the second time of asking. The Spurs clip it down towards Lucas Bergvall on the left, who has then given it away. Did his best to beat Kazem, but it was read by Zanelli in behind him. Zanelli picking up possession, forced out wide. Cross comes in from Thomason. And as that one is cleared, Richarlison is pushed. And it's a free kick that will be taken by Spurs about 20 yards outside their own penalty area by Bergvall. Finding Sarr and getting it very quickly out of the right-hand side for Mikey Moore. 16 minutes gone. What's Ange's assessment so far, Scott Minto?
Yeah, be happy. Spurs have dominated both in terms of possession and also territory. Obviously, perhaps, look dangerous on set pieces. The ideal thing would have been to have been a goal or two up, but yeah, look, this Elfsborg side, again, I do think it's the perfect team to play with. Their season finished. They're in what is really their off-season. It's not as if they were Swedish champions. Should be the perfect game. They've been on top, Spurs, but not quite got that real goal-scoring opportunity as yet.
Richarlison, Zanelli is back. Richarlison might yet be able to win it. Mikey Moore can get the ball out from underneath his feet. And Zanelli, as they defend mob-handedly, is going to be able to get it away, and Rapp should be able to win a throw over on the far touchline, which he can.
They also don't travel well, do they? They've lost every game so far away from home in the Europa League. They've lost 7 of the last 8 on the road as well. So you would think if Spurs do get that first goal, then maybe the floodgates will open.
Yeah, they had a really disappointing season. Back in 2023, they should have won the league. They lost out to Malmo on goal difference. It should have been their first title in 11 years. That wasn't on Oscar Hiljemark's watch. He came in to replace Yimi Telling. When he went to Aberdeen, they finished 7th this year. So they know that if they lose tonight and other results go against them, this will be their last European tie until at least August 2026. Because they haven't qualified for Europe next season. The only way they can do so is by winning the Europa League this time around. And spoiler alert, they ain't gonna.
No, you wouldn't have thought, but they'll be Champions League next season if they do. As will Spurs if they do.
The ball played forward. Pedersen is able to come out and pick it up. We played 18 minutes. It's 0-0. What's been going on at Ibrox in the early stages? A match the Rangers need to win. Here's David Tanner.
Rangers 0, Union Saint-Gilles 1-0. Rangers had 6 defenders out before tonight. Leon King was pressed into service as a right back, as Rangers just put one over the bar, and Leon King has just limped off injured. So playing at right back is a right winger, Ross McCausland. It's Rangers 0, Union Saint-Gilles 1-0.
So 0-0 there. Rangers 13th in the table. Need to get themselves into the top 8, but on a night where goals are in such short supply, we've only had 2 in the 18 ties through the opening 19 minutes of the night. 1 goal could make quite a bit of difference. Here's Rodrigo Bentancur bringing it forward for Spurs, finding Ben Davis. We're 19 minutes in here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Talksport.
Just a couple of things. One, Lucas Bergvall, he definitely will want to try and impress against, obviously, being Swedish himself against this Swedish side.
As Tottenham bring it forward, Porro with a lay back inside the penalty area, is behind everybody, and it's cleared out towards the far touchline for Moore.
But also with Richarlison as well, he's almost trying to do too much. He's dropping in too deep. He was almost playing he was in the left back position there, and you kind of want your striker to stay up there. Yes, of course, Dominic Solanke, one of the very best when he doesn't have the ball to try and start the press, but still, you've got to try and conserve your energy. It's a wonderful opportunity for him with Solanke being out to prove that he can be this number 2 striker for Spurs, and try not to miss Solanke because he's playing so well and scoring goals. You still have to conserve your energy. He's got his injury problems himself, so I just don't think he needs to drop so deep as he did just then.
Rodrigo Bentancur in possession, 0-0 here. Ben Davis coming forward, finds himself in a more central area as he receives the ball this time. Plays it down towards Son. Son with a little drop of the shoulder, curving right-footed ball straight into the hands of the goalkeeper Isaac Pedersen. Now, one of the games that is of consequence for Spurs, Anderlecht lead Hoffenheim by a goal to nil. The Belgians will be guaranteed a top 8 finish if they were to win, and they're a goal up in Brussels tonight at home to Hoffenheim, who will be out unless they win and other results go well. So as things stand at the moment, the German side will be heading out of Europe. Anderlecht will be going through, and that means that they have climbed above Spurs in the table. So Tottenham down to 7th as things stand at the moment. The big games of consequence at the moment: Galatasaray 0-0 at Ajax, Olympiacos 0-0 at home to Karabakh. Those are the two most important ones you feel as far as Spurs are concerned, who themselves are currently 0-0. Deadlock broken at Ibrox, though. Here's Talksport's David Tanner.
21 minutes gone, and it's a Belgian who scored, but it's the Belgian and the Rangers team who scored. It's Rangers 1, Union Saint-Gilloise of Belgium 0. Nico Raskin scoring with a header from a cross from Ross McCausland. Rangers 1 up after 21 minutes.
He's had a fine season, Raskin, and scores his first goal of the campaign. Rangers leading by a goal to nil. And that means that they are up to 9th. So nearly where they need to be. They just need one of the other teams, maybe FCSB, maybe Lyon, to concede. And Rangers could find themselves in the top 8. So looking hopeful in these early stages for Rangers of a top 8 finish. They will definitely be in the playoffs at the very worst. Yegba clears across from the Tottenham right back Porro. Elfsborg gathered away. So much of the play concentrated away to our left-hand side, which is the half of the ground that Spurs are attacking. Archie Gray, the deepest of Tottenham's outfield players, as he picks up the ball, and he's a good 8 yards inside Elfsborg territory. Bilbao leading Plzeňa by a goal to nil. They will also be in the top 8 with a positive result tonight. Athletic Bilbao starting the night 3rd in their lead. Son, lovely little step over, getting the better of Holmier. Now inside the penalty area, might have gone down. Did get the cross in, and Porro heads it. Comfortable save in the end for Pedersen, because the header was from a long way out. Son did brilliantly. Stepped round a couple of Elfsborg players who ended up tackling each other. Played a little 1-2, got to the byline. Just a little nibble on him as he got there inside the penalty area. Did his best to keep it in. Had he gone down, it might have given the referee something to think about.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, first of all, he's playing really well down this left-hand side. He went past not 1, not 2, but 3. I don't think that would have been a penalty. I also think the ball was just over the line. If that had been a goal, I'm pretty sure that the goal line technology would have shown that shouldn't have gone in. But again, looking very dangerous, Spurs down the left with, if not Ben Davies, then Son himself.
None of the sides playing away from home have scored in Europe so far tonight, including Elfsborg here, including Manchester United live on Talksport 2 in Romania, and including Galatasaray, who trail at Ajax by a goal to nil. And that is very good news as far as Spurs fans are concerned. They don't need Galatasaray winning that game, and that increases the likelihood of a draw being enough for Tottenham tonight. Galatasaray trailing to a Traore goal in Amsterdam. It's 1-0. Here's Son coming towards the edge of the penalty area. Getting a second bite of the cherry. Looks as though he's on a one-man mission to prove something to himself tonight, Son. He's seen plenty of the ball in the early stages, some good dynamic runs, some dazzling close control, but not quite the service provided for anybody as yet. Bergvall with a little layoff to his right-hand side. Shot comes in from Son from about 25 yards, deflected and blocked on the edge of the penalty area, and then cleared up the right-hand side by Headland. Brought back under control at the back by Spurs, Ben Davies. Ben Tanker's got it, and at the moment Elfsborg are hemmed in. They cannot get out.
Yeah, it's attack v defence at the moment. Tottenham with 82% possession.
And got it here, Sarr. Bergvall waiting. It's Porro that came onto it, took a shot. Davies can't quite get in there to have another after the first one was blocked. And then an opportunity potentially now for Elfsborg to bring it away on the counter-attack. But Holmier, stepping forward from centre-half, never looked as though he had the belief to be able to find his teammate Abdullahi. Spurs gobble possession back up. Now will now be able to bring it forward again with Pape Sarr. 25 gone 0-0.
You know what, Jim? Unless you're Linford Christie, it must be an absolute nightmare for a forward to think, we've got a chance on a counter-attack here. I can sprint away. Oh, no. I've got Van der Ven coming down, just taking the ball off me.
He's quick though, Abdullah. It's a good battle between the pair of them. I would fancy Van der Ven to beat him, don't get me wrong, over 60 yards. But
if that had been him, then he might have half believed in it. But when you get one of the centre-halves trying to do that against Van der Ven, you've got no chance.
I don't think Abdullah ever believed that the ball was going to be played in his direction by the centre-half. I think that was the problem. It's a handball now, curtails the latest Spurs attack. Sarr's unlucky, but the ball did hit his hand and he gained an advantage from it. It's a free kick that will be taken by Elfsborg, midway between the edge of their own penalty area and the halfway line. Elfsborg themselves emanate from a little town in Sweden called Borås, which is about 40 miles east of Gothenburg in the western part of the country. As I mentioned earlier, they're coming off the back of a really disappointing season, but nowhere near close to qualifying for Europe through their league position, which I think was a shock to many. Only the top 3 do qualify for Europe from the Allsvenskan.
As Frida said, we think the whole town has come down to support them in this particular game. They're certainly trying to make as much noise as possible and being colourful as well, aren't they?
Yeah, it's the heart of the textile industry in Sweden. So don't expect too many clothes to be being made tomorrow morning, because they are all here in North London. They've really enjoying the night. Bergvall, Richarlison able to turn inside the penalty area. He's pulled it back towards Bentancur. Porro is on to his right. First time ball in from him. Drilled head height at Sarr, who couldn't get a header towards goal. He tried to control it and take it on. Cleared again. Gray will head it back forward, but a counter-attack could be on. It's 4 against 4 if they can work it right here. The ball out towards Hult. Hult getting the better of Bentancur, who dived in. Played forward by him to Gottfried Rapp, and really good covering from Richarlison. What a shift he put in there. Tracking all the way back to help stop the counter-attack. Winning possession back on the edge of Spurs' own penalty area. And now Bergvall's able to drive it forward. Poor ball, though, with the outside of the right boot. And that's easily cleared. Stood no chance of finding Mikey Moore. And Elfsborg can put their foot on the ball in the midfield. 0-0.
And the only thing to say again about Richarlison, I mean, he's brilliant in terms of the work ethic and being part of the team. But again, he won the ball almost in the right back area. Suddenly Spurs are going to a counter-attack and he's now not an option. You can see him tired, trying to get up, but just almost jogging up rather than sprinting up. You know, I just want my strikers, especially if you're sort of lone strikers, just to stay up there. Yes, work the 2 centre-halves, but don't come back down. Spurs should be able to deal with that counter-attack themselves.
Ben Davies, lovely little 1-2 with Son. And Davis wins. Oh no, he hasn't won another corner. That was the correct decision as he played it in. And it hit Holmian and bounced back off. Davis goes out of play. Holmian, one of the players that's been brought back to the club by Oscar Hiljemark, the Elfsborg coach. They won the title back in 2012, early in Hiljemark's playing career. And he's brought the band back together, essentially, since he's come back. He's brought 4 or 5 of that team back from elsewhere to try and rekindle former glories. Hult, the left back, is one of those. Holmian, another. Headland, the right wing back, has rejoined the club from Brøndby. They're an efficient, well-drilled outfit, but no sign of any cutting edge at all in the opening half hour so far from Elfsborg. It's 0-0. Tottenham well on top, but haven't really come close at any stage, Scott, to getting the breakthrough themselves.
No, they haven't, and you're right to talk about the experience, and clearly the manager around about the same age, a couple of them even older, but you got Holt, 2 wing-backs, left wing-back's 34, the right wing-back's 31, your right centre-half is 32, so there's experience there, but really with wing-backs, you absolutely need athletes and get up and down, and when you're in your 30s, you can't quite do what you could do in your 20s. So for me, it's all about trying to get just a result at the moment, and they've been quite solid defensively.
Oh, wait till you get to your 50s. Here's Son drilling it in towards the near post, looking for Richarlison, headed away. Another goal at Ibrox for Talksport's David Tanner.
And it's an equaliser for the Belgians. It's Rangers 1, Union Saint-Gilloise 1. And it's an 18th goal of the season for their Croatian striker Franjo Ivanovic. Rangers 1, Union Saint-Gilloise 1.
So Rangers dropped down with that goal back to 14th in the table. Spurs currently 7th. Manchester United down to 5th. Anderlecht lead, which is why United and Spurs have both dropped down a place. One of the centre-halves, Henriksson, has just picked up a bang to the head as he followed Richarlison to attack that Son cross. That'll give us the opportunity to find out how Manchester United are going. They're in Romania tonight. Here's Jeff Peters.
It's still goalless in the National Arena in Bucharest, but Manchester United certainly have grown into this game. Christian Eriksen with a snapshot half volley, goalkeeper parried it away, and then Højlund with a cutback. Kobe Mainu should have done better 12 yards out, but side-footed it over the bar. It's FCSB 0, United 0.
You're listening to Tottenham against Elfsborg in the Europa League. It's live on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. Henriksson is okay. He's had to trot all the way round from behind the goal to this near touchline, and he's in no position to defend as Spurs restart play. Porro launching one in from 30 yards out. They're trying to make the most of the very temporary power play whilst Henriksson was off the field. But he's blazed the ball over the bar, goes out of play for a goal kick. Now, don't forget, tomorrow morning, join Big Al and Ray Parler from 6 a.m. tomorrow, looking back on a night of European action, and also looking ahead of the weekend. Newcastle's Dan Byrne is going to be featuring on the show. Now that's tomorrow morning with the boys, Alan Ray. Typical Friday wake up from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. If you fancy something different on your morning commute, be sure to check out the Chris Evans Breakfast Show weekdays from 6:30 on Virgin Radio. You can listen to Virgin Radio on DAB or download the app. Let's go back to Ibrox. David Tanner.
And I can tell you the scoreline is now Rangers 1, Union Saint-Gilloise 0. The goal was disallowed after a long VAR check because of an offside decision, which is lucky for Rangers. They were a defensive shambles. But the scoreline is back to being Rangers 1, Union SG 0.
And as a result of that, Rangers back up on the fringes of the top 8 after that goal was disallowed. Bergvall to Son. It's 0-0 here in North London. Son skipping through again, trying to put it on the plate towards a penalty spot. It's a shot from Sarr. That's blocked. And then it's cleared by Hult from inside his own penalty area. Slowly, Spurs beginning to get closer.
Just absolutely brilliant again from Heung-min Son. Just a great little turn. He holds the defender up and then turns inside the box, crosses it in. He's got these guys on toast at the moment. He really has.
And he's won another corner here. He's rolling back the years. It's the best I've seen him play. You've got to take the quality of opposition into account, yes, of course, but it's the best I've seen him play, the most confident he's looked for a long time.
I totally agree. It's the best performance I've seen for a very long time. Honestly, and sometimes when games develop like this and you know that one of your players has got, his opposition number all night, just give him the ball and give him space. Every time he gets the ball, he seems to be creating something.
Another corner comes in, this one from the Tottenham left. It's headed away easily by Yegbe. And out for a throw that will be taken again by Spurs. It is only the second time Tottenham have ever played a game against Swedish opposition. The last one, where do you think that one was played? I'll let you think about it. Some 30 years ago, where the last match involving Spurs and a Swedish side was played. Here's Archie Gray inside the midfield. He's laid it to his left-hand side for Ben Davies and then played back out towards the right-hand side for Pap Sarr. Down towards Porro. And now work forward towards Bentancur. Sarr's got it again. Porro trying to knock it down the line. It goes out of play. Do you know?
I do know you pointed it out to me. And you've got to give me 1,000 guesses and I still wouldn't have got one.
The Goldstone Ground Hove is the answer. I'll tell you the story behind it in a moment. The ball with Bentancur. And he's in a central position. 15 yards outside the penalty area. It's 0-0 with 11 minutes to go to half-time here. Spurs warming to their task. He's struggling to break down this resolute Swedish backline. Have kept clean sheets in their last 2 European ties, albeit that both of those were at home. Now they've lost all 3 games they've played away from home in the group stage. Son can't find a way past Headland that time. And the ball is clear. Van der Ven able to come forward. One of those trademark runs, haven't seen them so far tonight, but he's on one here. Knocks it to his right-hand side for Sarr. Now he might have to try and get back quickly. Sarr's done well, actually, to win possession back. Porro back to him on the edge of the penalty area. Spurs with 4 in the box. Moore with a cross-come shot that was deflected into the path of Porro, who pulls it back just away from Bergvall. And Holmian's going to be able to clear and put it out for a throw.
Brilliant cutback, really was. And Bergvall just a little bit short trying to get there. But now they really are trying to put Elfsborg under pressure. Got to try and score while they're on top like this.
Sarr losing out to Yegba inside the box, who takes a touch and right in front of the Elfsborg supporters. They love that as he just dropped his shoulder, took Sarr out of the picture, and he clears upfield, and then Abdullahi has fouled Gray. It's on one of those nights tonight, Abdullahi, that he's really glad he's not getting paid by the touch, because he's hardly seen it. He's done a lot of chasing. There's no problem with his industry, but every striker needs service.
I don't even think he'd have a euro yet, would he?
No, I don't think he would. And that's if he was getting €5 per touch of the ball with Davis. Back to his right-hand side for Gray. Gray 20 yards outside the penalty area to his left-hand side again. Ferencvaros 2 up against the AZ, but that's not really of relevance for Spurs. Richarlison curves one and puts it just wide of the top right-hand corner. Yeah, that only previous match the Spurs have played against Swedish opposition was in the Intertoto Cup back in the mid-90s. It was a 2-1 defeat at Østers. They played the game at the Goldstone Ground. This was the team. So it was emergency loanees and young kids. So they had 18-year-old Stephen Carr, 19-year-olds Chris Day, Jamie Clapham and Steve Slade. Danny Hill was 20, Kevin Watson and Jerry McMahon at 21. Then they brought in Ian Sampson on loan from Northampton, Mark Newsom from Barnet, David Byrne from Partick, and Alan Pardew on loan from Charlton.
Really? What year?
The end of the 94-95 season, when every league around Europe took the Intertoto Cup seriously except for one. And that was us.
I played with Pards at Charlton.
Well, you didn't play with him here, did you?
No, I didn't, no. No, I'd left that season before.
Here's Bentancur. Comes down towards the Tottenham left-hand side for Son, who's level with the edge of the box. A low ball in from him on the slide. Holmian trying to get it away. And then volleyed clear from the middle of midfield by Thomason. But Spurs are able to get their foot on the ball again. And it's such a regimented 5-4-1 when they're out of possession, which is, let's face it, nearly all the time. But they've done their job well. And now they get it forward towards Abdullahi. First chance for him to really stretch the legs and make his way forward. He's very quickly covered 40 or 50 yards, but Bentancur did well to rob him of possession.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. There's a part of me thinking, will he just leave it to Van der Ven to deal with it? But no, he didn't. And not only caught him up, but also just out-muscled him and won the ball back. Fantastic defensive midfield play, that.
Yeah, Spurs can bring it forward with Sarr. Gets it out towards the right-hand touchline. Mikey Moore making just the 5th senior start of his career tonight. Back from him to Sarr and out towards Porro. Near the edge of the Elfsborg penalty area. Right-footed ball in from Sarr. Deflected away and then cleared by Headland out for a corner when maybe he had more time than he thought. I mean, he's been given such a good going over by Son that he was probably panic-stricken that the South Korean was going to be right on his heels. He wasn't actually. Well, he didn't get a shout, so he's headed it away for another Tottenham corner.
Absolutely. I mean, one, his keeper didn't help him out with that early shout, but two, when you're under pressure, you don't even know who's around you. Just head it away.
The corner taken short. Son working it in. Oh, it's a fine save from Pedersen to deny Moore. Really, really good stop. Mikey Moore must have thought that was going to be his first Tottenham goal. But the former Swedish international came to Elfsborg's rescue.
Do you know what? That's a great save. That is a really good reaction save. But again, it comes from Son going little step over to the byline, cutting the ball back. It's a good strike from Mikey Moore, who I want to see a little bit more of. Seeing lots of Son on one side, but not enough of Mikey Moore on the other.
Gray stayed back, everybody else forward. Son taking this corner, Pedersen having to take 3 or 4 hasty steps back, could beat it away, stop it from curling into the top right-hand corner. And now the break is on. And it's Rapp running towards the edge of the penalty area. He's still got Gray to beat. Porro is back goal side as well, taking them both on and winning a corner. No. Another little double ricochet. Great defending from Archie Gray, who gets low 5 from Pedro Porro. And a chest bump from his goalkeeper, Brandon Austin. And it's a goal kick to Spurs with 5 to go to half-time at 0-0.
Brilliant defending. This time he's playing right side centre-half. So I must say to Aaron Gaffer, what am I doing this time? Is it left back, right back, centre-half? Can I at some point play in midfield where that is my best position? But boy, is he getting an education right now.
He's done so well at centre-half. I wonder where he's going to end up. I think that he would still be desperate to play his career in midfield, but I think centre-half is viable in the long term for him.
Yeah, I think in a decade time maybe he could, drop back into centre-half, but with the engine he's got, we haven't yet seen him in his best position. I mean, for Leeds he was playing quite often at right back to help the team out. Proper team player.
Yeah, great to have that versatility. Yegba clearing out of play. It's a throw to Spurs, so it's 0-0, but no need to panic, Tottenham fans. With the score as it is, the other scores are not going against Spurs. Well, not enough of them are for it to be a problem. Tottenham currently in the live table a 7th. Manchester United still 0-0 in Romania, a 5th. Rangers leading 1-0, a 9th. But they need somebody above them to concede. A Manchester United goal would do Rangers a massive favour. He would take FCSB out of the top 8 and put Rangers in there. That's still 0-0. That game live for you over on Talksport 2 as yet again we bring you a choice of listening. Tomorrow night, incidentally, the West Lancashire derby, Blackburn against Preston, comes your way on Talksport 2. Live exclusive to national radio tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Ball over on the Tottenham right-hand side. They'll be able to work it inside the box. Knocked away, though, easily by Zanelli. And then Yegba will clear his lines towards halfway. He's almost sweeping tonight, Archie Gray. He's not really pushing forward. He's allowing Van der Ven a little bit of licence to play 10 yards ahead of him, and Gray mops up again.
Yeah, I mean, they will have to be careful if Abdoulaye just plays on him then, because we know that Van der Ven is the quicker one. But you're right, and probably a draw will be enough to go through and maybe sort of finish in the top 8. But I think tonight is more than that. It's about trying to get the confidence back after what's happened recently, especially that defeat against Leicester here at the weekend. And it's about playing up against a side that they're not even playing in their domestic season right now. So if they get that first goal, I think it could still end up a 3-0 and suddenly everyone goes home really, really positive. At this moment in time, though, they are a stubborn side to break down.
Yeah, the Swedish season starts in a couple of weeks' time. They begin it with a series of cup games. And so effectively the Swedish version of the FA Cup starts with a group. So they'll play 3 cup games and then they will get into the league season itself in March or so. It runs through to November. And Gray's in possession. 2.5 minutes to go to half-time. 4 towards Bentancur. Good news for Spurs fans from Belgium, where Offenheim have equalised at Anderlecht, and that means that Spurs are back up to 6 where they started the night. Now, the main problems for Spurs, just to reiterate the situation, they will be fine with a draw unless Galatasaray, Anderlecht and Werder Glimt all win, and none of them are at the moment. As the ball flashes in from the Tottenham right and is headed away. The only rider to that is if 2 of those were to win and Olympiacos were to win by 3 or more in their game at home to Karabag. That would also be enough for Spurs to drop out of the top 8 if they only drew, but Olympiacos being held at the moment coming up towards half-time. So there isn't another single result that is going against Tottenham at the moment.
There are a few permutations there, aren't there?
There's a massive safety net underneath them. A draw is enough at the moment. Here's Son working it inside the penalty area for Mikey Moore, whose touch was a little bit heavy. It just came off his right foot and then hit his trailing foot. And he then very quickly lunged forward to try and keep it in. He couldn't stretch quickly enough. And the ball has gone out of play for a goal kick that will be taken away to our left-hand side by the goalkeeper, Pedersen, and it is still 0-0 with a minute of the first half to go.
Yeah, but at least he's trying to get involved in the game. I talked about how the ball's coming down the left-hand side all the time, and Mikey Moore must be thinking, I'm waiting out wide and it's not really coming to me. Even when Pedro Porro gets on the ball, he plays it inside or crosses it in. So just seeing him coming inside in the box there, trying to do something, I like that.
You're listening to Tottenham against Elfsborg in the Europa League, live on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes, so if you've got a plan, we've got a van. Jim Proudfoot and Scott Minto talking you through the action here. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tonight, where it's been a dominant performance from Spurs, who've been a little bit toothless with it. One outstanding save from the goalkeeper Pedersen to deny more, but there haven't really been a glut of goal-scoring opportunities. 0-0 in this one, and 0-0 the United game over on Talksport 2. Results that, as things stand right now, good enough for both of them to make it through to the top 8 and avoid the playoff round. Rangers in a playoff position at the moment, but not too far away from the top 8. They are leading 1-0. They just need a favour from somebody. Van der Ven. Now to his left-hand side. That favour, of course, for Rangers could come from Elfsborg. We go into 1 minute of added time at the end of the first half. An Elfsborg goal here takes Spurs out of the top 8 and puts Rangers in. And so Rangers fans listening, I'm sure, will be willing the Swedes on here. Sociedad lead PAOK Salonika 1-0. We're in 1 minute of added time. Son can't find a way through inside the penalty area and the ball is cleared. Comes back down towards the Tottenham left-hand side for Van der Ven. Wonder if he'll come back out for the second half, or because of the way that his minutes are being managed, whether they'll just give him 45 minutes tonight, whether that's the plan ahead of Brentford to make sure that he's fully fit and raring to go for that match Sunday afternoon across town.
It's a big decision to make. I mean, who am I to tell Ange what to do? But I'm sure I'd be absolutely shocked if he lasts the full 90. But it's been so comfortable. It's been so much attack versus defence. It's been so much in terms of possession. Regularly they're hitting 80%. But he hasn't had a lot to do, so maybe you could give him another 15 minutes, but even then you're sitting down for 15 minutes at half-time, you've got to go again. Just don't want anything happening to that hamstring.
Roma lead Frankfurt by a goal to 0. And Frankfurt will be guaranteed a place in the top 8 if they draw, find themselves going behind just before half-time. But not too many signs of a goal here in North London. A draw actually suits both of these teams pretty well. That's not to say that Spurs haven't been going for it. They have, but they found it very difficult to break down this stubborn Swedish back line. And we've got the half-time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at 0-0.
Well, the noise inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium comes from those travelling Swedish fans. They can be proud of what their Elfsborg team have done in this first half. And for all these thousands of Spurs fans who've come here looking for goals, looking for the kind of performance that will get the confidence back in the team, they've been dominant, but clearly lacking in one important aspect. That is in front of goal. We'll dissect the first half with Scott Minto in a few moments. Before then, let's head to the game between FCSB and Manchester United. It's live for you on Talksport 2 and get the latest from the National Arena with Talksport's Jeff Peters.
Well, we're just approaching the half-time. It's FCSB 0, Manchester United 0. And in terms of this game, United have looked comfortable. They've been dominating possession. There was an early scare when Popescu, the former Hearts defender, stabbed goalwards from a free kick and was inches wide. Since then, United have grown into the game. Calm and patient. Young midfielder Toby Collier looking tidy and completely at home. Kobbie Mainoo should have done better when set up by Rasmus Højlund, but his side foot flew over. Højlund did well to get beyond the defence. His header, though, didn't have any pace to trouble the keeper, who also made a decent parry to deny a snapshot from Christian Eriksen. Malacia on a yellow card, but the home side haven't put him under enough pressure since that early booking. As it stands, United going through to the knockout stages, almost half-time in Romania. It's 0-0.
On the stroke of half-time at Ibrox, Talksport's David Tanner.
Yeah, so we're in stoppage time. It's Rangers 1, Union Saint-Gilloise of Belgium 0, and it's the Belgian in Rangers team, Nico Raskan, who scored the only goal of this game. It was a cross from James Tavernier, and the Belgian scored with a powerful header from the back post. His first goal of the season, in fact, his first goal in 15 months. Rangers have got Ross McCausland playing as an emergency right back, and throughout this game, Philippe Clement has been coaching him. It's been a busy time down that side of the pitch, but Rangers actually conceded a goal after 29 minutes when Franjo Ivanovic scored his 18th of the season, but it was ruled offside eventually by VAR. Rangers have just had the ball in the net as well. It was Cyril Dessers who scored. We thought it was his 6th goal in 4 games. Instead, offside called foul on that one. We're just about at half time, and it's Rangers 1, Union Saint-Gilloise 0.
As we wait for the half-time whistles to go, I will update you in a few moments' time on exactly what it all means in the league standings. Scott Minto is alongside me at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the former Chelsea defender. That first half, dominant, patient from Spurs, particularly Davies and Son playing well down the left-hand side. It was a brilliant, incisive start, really, from everyone. They've maybe just waned slightly. And the main thing is they just haven't been able to unpick the lock and create those really clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities. Why do you think that is?
No, I think you're right. I think they started off really well, very much on the front foot. It was interesting to see Ben Davies playing left-back and Archie Gray as a right-side centre-half. And Ben Davies, to be fair to him, despite his age, was bombing on down the left-hand side. But, Son was just... That's the best half I've seen him play in a very, very long time. Again, as Jim said, qualify who they're playing against, but every single time he's on the ball, he's got those step overs that defenders just bamboozles them. And he's got to the byline so many times. He's whipped it back. Mikey Moore had that good shot that was brilliantly saved. But yeah, it's almost been as the half has gone on. You're right. They've just faded a little, really. 83% possession. As Jim was saying, it's a 5-4-1. They've got to try and find a way to break down. It's actually quite two flat lines, the 5 and the 4. So you've got to try and find little spaces in behind. But Charlton at sometimes is dropping off a little bit too deep and helping out his team defensively. He doesn't need to worry about that. Just stay between the sticks. And if you've got the midfielders who can try and push on, I want to see a little bit more from perhaps Sarr, a little bit more from Lucas Bergvall as well, and perhaps a little bit more from Mikey Moore. But in terms of Son and down the left-hand side, they've been brilliant. Defensively, not had anything to worry about. I honestly think, Hugh, if that first goal comes in, then the second and the third will happen as well.
Fatigue already setting in for Elfsborg. Remember, their season ended in November. They've only played 3 games since. You can see the legs are already beginning to get just a little bit heavy.
It will in the second half for sure, because they have been given a little bit of the runaround, and when you only have 17% possession, it is just doggies the whole time, and that is hard on your legs even when you're playing during the season. Their season finished in November, so for sure they will get tired, and that's where Spurs have to be patient. Keep moving the ball, trying to get the ball wide, switching it left to right, right to left, and not just knocking long balls in. Don't panic the fact that it's 0-0 with only 20 minutes to go. Keep moving them around, and I think there will be much more space than there was in the first half.
The longer it stays 0-0, though, you can imagine the tide might turn in terms of the atmosphere.
Well, there is that, and the crowd will certainly get nervous, especially if there's any misplaced passes, and that's why I would suggest don't go for the Hollywood pass. Just do it simple, but do it quickly. 1-2 touch. Move this team around, and you will open them up. But you're right, any misplaced passes or counter-attack, and if Elfsborg do happen to get that first goal, it's going to be very, very hard mentally for sure.
Especially for Ange Postecoglou if this crowd gets on his back. At the moment, his team totally dominant, but not yet in front. Spurs 0, Elfsborg 0. Let's very quickly get the half-time odds for this game then with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Get money back as a free bet up to £10 if one leg of your Football 5+ acca lets you down. Pre-match straight line accas only. Odds are 3-1 or greater. 18+ gambleaware.org.
So Tottenham odds on to go on to win this game at 7-20. The draw 14-5. And an Elfsborg win against the odds now 11-1. Those are the latest odds with Ladbrokes. Of course, it's 18+, and make sure you check out begambleaware.org.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Supercharge your odds with our Odds Boost button. Selected markets applies to first £50 of stake. Terms apply. 18+, gambleaware.org.
18 games in all going on across the final day of the Europa League. Ajax lead Galatasaray by 1-0. Anderlecht 1, Hoffenheim 1. Roma lead Frankfurt 1-0. Bilbao lead Victoria Pilsen by the same scoreline. Braga 1-0 up on Lazio. Goalless between Dinamo Kiev and RFS. FCSB and Manchester United goalless over on Talksport 2. Ferencvaros 3-0 up against Alkmaar. Goalless between Lyon and Ludogorets and Maccabi Tel Aviv and FC Porto. 1-1 between Midtjylland and Fenerbahce. Another goalless game. Nice, Bodo Glimt, Olympiakos, Karabag. Rangers 1-0 up on Union Saint-Gilloise. Real Sociedad lead PAOK of Greece. Slavia Prague goalless against Malmo. Spurs 0, Elfsborg 0 here on Talksport, as is 20 against Besiktas. Meant to be a morale-boosting evening for Spurs and Ange Postecoglou. So far, it's been a training exercise, utterly dominant but lacking in goals and clear-cut chances. At the break, it's Spurs 0, Elfsborg 0.
Kick-off on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Get money back as a free bet up to £10 if one leg of your Football 5+ acca lets you down. Pre-match straight line accas only. Odds are 3-1 or greater. 18+ gambleaware.org.
Celebrity Cruises' biggest sale of the year is now on. There's no better time to book the holiday you deserve. Fresh views delivered daily. Date night every night. Exploring more than one destination, all while only unpacking once. With Celebrity Cruises' new offers, you can get up to 35% off the first and second guest. And return flights from £199 per person from a range of airports, including Bristol. Step aboard and discover why you'll never want to holiday any other way. Book in your local TUI store today.
What's the deal? It's a good darn deal that'll make you squeal for real. Neil?
My name's not Neil.
I know, but it rhymes.
Listen to Harry and make your best bet on the football at BetVictor. 18 plus, opt in and bet on any football marketing at odds of evens or greater. No cash out, 7-day expiry. Terms and conditions apply. Gambleaware.org.
The TUI sale is now on. Book today and save up to £300 per booking. Holiday, here we come. Grab a free kids place, even in the school summer holidays. Family holiday deal? Sorted. TUI. Live happy. Atoll and ABTA protected. Booking T's and C's apply. Selected departures. Minimum spend applies. 1 free child place per 2 full paying adults. Limited availability on selected holidays. See website for details.
Like some kind of pizza ninja? Domino's are slicing their prices. Domino's Price Slice. Small pizzas now £8, medium now £10, and large now £12. Yep, we're making cuts too. Minimum delivery spend, charges and areas may apply. T's and C's, see dominos.co.uk.
Welcome back to another spectacular match day, but what's this? Looks like the fans are playing Coral's free reward shaker. The half-and-half scarfers shaking decisively for once. They bagged a super boost. Next to them, the Prawn Sandwich Brigade. Oh, they've shaken up a free bet after that free lunch. Play Coral's free reward shaker to win guaranteed daily rewards and offers this season. Coral, we're here for it.
18 plus UK max 1 reward or offer per player per day. Reward restrictions, requirements and T's and C's apply. Gambleaware.org.
Talksport Breakfast in partnership with Arnold Clark. We guarantee the best used car deals in the UK. Move up through the gears every morning with top of the range sports edition, ABS, story breaking news and more goal talk to the gallon. Plus a stellar lineup of super celebrity sports guests as standard. Talksport Breakfast every weekday morning from 6 on Talksport with Arnold Clark. We guarantee the best used car deals in the UK.
Europa League Live on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
On 1089 and 1053 medium wave, on DAB, online and on your smart speaker.
Oh, what a finish!
The Europa League live on Talksport.
So, at the break here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it is goalless between Spurs and Elfsborg. The best chance of that first half came to 17-year-old Mikey Moore, who forced a fantastic save from Pettersson in the Elfsborg goal. So far, though, Ange Postecoglou's side not really creating enough. There may be changes coming up at half-time. We'll find out very shortly what that goalless draw means. Manchester United's goalless draw at FCSB over on Talksport 2 and Rangers leading against Union Saint-Gilloise means that Manchester United sit fourth in the Europa League table. They are heading straight into the last 16, as at Tottenham Hotspur, who are in 6th place. Rangers, as it stands, just missing out. They are 9th on the table. They, of course, need to hold on to that lead at Ibrox and hope maybe Manchester United can get the win over in Romania on Talksport 2, which means that they can go through straight to the last 16 as well. Big 45 minutes coming up, particularly at Ibrox. You're listening to the Europa League live on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Rent from the best lineup in the UK. Enterprise has 450 branches with all the vehicles your business needs. Remember, the sports bar will be open for business this evening. I don't even want to think how Jason Cundy would treat Jamie O'Hara if Elfsborg could actually win this match here this evening. That would be a classic. They'll be together taking your calls, and the phone lines are already open. So give us a call, 03717 223344. Particularly Spurs fans, let us know what you've made of that performance this evening. Sports Bar with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy coming up straight after the final whistle here in North London. Remember, we got plenty more live football for you across the TalkSport network coming in the next few days. Tomorrow night I'll be with you on TalkSport 2 for exclusive EFL action, a West Lancashire derby between Blackburn Rovers and Preston North End at Ewood Park. Saturday lunchtime exclusively live on TalkSport. We're back to Premier League action as Nottingham Forest host Brighton. 2:30 on TalkSport will be Game Day Live with Adrian Durham. All the goals as they go in, including Bournemouth against Liverpool, Everton against Leicester, Ipswich versus Southampton. Your double header on TalkSport 2 sees EFL action at lunchtime, Plymouth taking on West Brom, followed by Newcastle against Fulham in the Premier League at 3 p.m. So a bumper weekend ahead of you as we look down at some Spurs players certainly getting ready for this second half, and we wonder whether we will see them very shortly indeed. Dragusin, centre half. Dejan Kulusevski, of course, a Swede, on the cover of the programme this evening, will be desperate to play against his home countryside. And Destiny Udogie, Yves Bissouma, excuse me, warming up at the break as well. So we'll see if Ange Postecoglou brings on some fresh legs to give some real impetus, particularly Scott Minto, Dejan Kulusevski, who has been having a fantastic season for Spurs and may well be the key to victory here this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at the bench as well, and they were the two players that I was thinking, but the standout one clearly is Kulusevski. I mean, in a way, Ange doesn't want to play, and we talked about how important the next few games are. Brentford away in the league after poor form in the Premier League now, and then the big cup games against Liverpool and, of course, Aston Villa at Villa Park. Really, really difficult. So he doesn't want him coming on and getting injured or anything. He wants really him to have almost a night off. But there's nothing like playing against either your former side or, a side that comes from your country as well, that just come on and try and impress. So, look, if it's 0-0 with 60, 70 minutes, I wouldn't be surprised to see him come on. But, at the same time, as Jim was saying about the different permutations, that's got to happen. The Spurs don't lose this game and still fall out the top 8. It can happen. They just want to try and get that first goal, and I think if they do, they can get 2 and 3. And I do think it's important going into that crucial next few games that they do get a win, and they get a very good win. They've dominated possession, they've dominated the territory. Now can you dominate the scoreline as well? And that's the important thing for Tottenham Hotspur.
Now, this is still a very live fixture as far as Elfsborg are concerned as well, don't forget, because as things stand right now, they are 21st in the table. They've gone down 1 place, but that's enough for them to go into the playoffs. We are actually in a position, and I know it's all ifs, buts and maybes, and there's 45 minutes to go, but if there were no further goals in the second half, Spurs could be playing Elfsborg again in the round of 16, because there would be 4 potential opponents that Tottenham could play: Ajax, Galatasaray, PAOK, or Elfsborg. So you never know, this might just be a dress rehearsal for March.
What about changes then at the break? The two sides coming out. Scott Minto, do you expect Ange Postecoglou or the Elfsborg manager to make changes very soon?
I don't think Elfsborg will make changes immediately, but we talked about how they probably will tie because they're not seeing the ball. I'm fascinated to see whether Van der Ven has another 10-15 minutes or not. It looks like Dragusin's going to come on, and we talked about that really. Always, it's not treating it like a pre-season game as such, but it's what you do when you come back from injury or you come back from a summer. You play 45 minutes first of all, then a 60, and then a full 90. So it looks like Dragusin's coming on for Van der Ven. Also looks like Yves Bissouma and Kulusevski. So those 2 players we mentioned, plus not surprised to see at centre-half. Very sensible substitutions in my opinion.
Trio of changes on the way for Tottenham Hotspur as Ange Postecoglou looks to get some confidence into his side. Of course, a morale-boosting win, which at the moment looks like it could be heading to a stalemate despite the dominance they had in that first half. They will certainly want to create a little bit more in the second half of their Europa League game against Elfsborg, live here on Talksport. Remember, FCSB against Manchester United live for you on Talksport 2. In the meantime, I will leave you with your commentary team, the former Chelsea FA Cup winner Scott Minto and Talksport's Jim Proudfoot.
So it's a triple change for Spurs. Dragusin, Bissouma and Kulusevski for Van der Ven, Bentancur and Son. We're back underway. Elfsborg yellow shirts, black shorts in possession from the kickoff, kicking from right to left. And if Spurs were to concede here, then they would fall out of the top 8, and Rangers would be the team that would benefit as things stand right now. So Tottenham lining up with Austin in goal, Porro, Dragusin, Gray's switch to the left of the 2 centre-halves, Ben Davies still at left back, and then it's Bergvall, Bissouma and Sarr, with Kulusevski, Richarlison and Moore. He's swapped flanks as well. He's gone out towards the far touchline, the Tottenham left. Bissouma trying to play a long ball towards him now, which just took a flick on its way through off Headland. And Moore controlled that and then played it off the Swedish right back and out of play. Pedersen in goal for Elfsborg. A back 5 of Headland, Holmén, Henriksen, Jägber and Hult, with Kazem, Zanelli, Thomason and Rapp and Abdullahi up front. First corner of the second half, Tottenham's 8th of the game. Swung in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Good header away by Jägber. And then Rapp will get it further away. Scott Minto alongside me.
Yeah, look, in a way, I'm sad to see Son go off. He was the standout player in the first half, but again, you can understand that he just wants to keep him fresh for bigger games to come. But Mikey Moore, I think he's better on the left-hand side, you know, having that ability. Yes, he can still go down the outside, but quite happy to cut inside. Kulusevski, we know, well, he can be a brilliant number 10, but he can play on the right-hand side as well. And then Archie Gray. You know, I mean, what more can we say about this kid? It's a slight change. It's a left-side centre-half instead of a right-side centre-half. But still, your body shape has to change when the ball comes from a different angle. And you have to run off a different foot. And for him, the way he's reading the game as an 18-year-old, I'm telling you now, in 3 or 4 years, he's going to be one of these standout Premier League midfielders.
Dragusin thought he'd sold Austin short with a back pass there, and he very quickly moved across to block Kassem's run towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Austin gets it away, or play it forward through the midfield. Another long crossfield ball. Ben Davies trying to ping one down for Kulusevski, but that's headed back to his goalkeeper by Pedersen. The draw, incidentally, is going to be made tomorrow. You'll hear news of it, of course, on Talksport. And then the boys on Trans-Europe Express are going to be analysing everything that has happened in this final round of fixtures, both in the Europa League tonight, what happened yesterday in the Champions League. It returns this Sunday from 9 o'clock. Danny Kelly and Andy Brassel are rounding up all the big results across Europe this weekend and everything that's happened in the continental football over the course of the week. Kulusevski playing the ball in here. That one is volleyed away. They'll also review that draw made tomorrow morning, and the best bits of Trans-Euro Express available as a podcast on the TalkSport app as well. Here's Porro with a delivery, and that one easily headed away. Be interesting to hear what Danny's made of Tottenham's European campaign. We'll find out Sunday at 9. Here's Sarr in possession for Danny's beloved Spurs. Porro driving one in. Oh, it was Davis, I beg your pardon. Hitting it left-footed, but straight down the throat of the goalkeeper. It was a comfortable stop.
Great first touch from Ben Davies, gave him the ability, because it was kind of pinged into him, but then he could run onto it and get a really good strike, and it was a good strike, but a simple one in the end for Pedersen. We saw him make a great save against Mikey Moore. Very good reactions. That one almost kind of putting his cap on it, but a decent strike from Ben Davies. And just on that Trans-Euro Express is a brilliant listen, and off the back of what's happening in Europe this week, even more so.
Yeah, it's certainly something that lots of people within the game listen to as well as us. We're very proud of that programme. In comes the ball from the left-hand side. Rapp's delivery, it's easily headed away. Well, it's a free kick which will be taken by Kulusevski. Taking it quickly, the ball was moving, and the Austrian referees pulled him up on that. Kulusevski, whose only previous games in his career against Swedish opposition came when he played for Juventus against Malmö back in 2021. 45 internationals for Sweden, but he's never played in Sweden and has only ever played twice against Swedish teams before in his career.
They weren't at the Goldstone ground, were they?
Well, they would have been had it been available, had it not been a B&Q. The ball is with Porro, down the right-hand side of the penalty area, laid back towards Kulusevski again. And on the left-hand side of the back line, Kult's going to be able to knock it away, and he's bought a throw, which will be taken on the Spurs left. So it's 0-0, 5 minutes gone in the second half. Interesting looking at the overall betting, Scotty, about this tournament, where Manchester United and Spurs both in, let's face it, in different form, with a capital I in the Premier League, and they're the top two in the betting to win the whole tournament.
I wonder whether that's a very English market, but I do think it's, I don't want to say a poor or a weak Europa League, but it's not strong. You look at Lazio, who are the top. They're fourth in Serie A, 14 points off Napoli. You look at Athletic Club de Bilbao, who are fourth in La Liga and 9 points off Real Madrid. Then there's Eintracht Frankfurt. You know, they're third in the Bundesliga, 11 points off Bayern Munich. Olympique Lyonnais, who kind of split United and Tottenham as well. You know, they're 17 points off PSG, and even if you say, OK, PSG are a million miles away, 10 points off Marseille. It's not as if they're dominating their own leagues, and clearly Spurs and United aren't doing that with the Premier League, but it is so open, and if Spurs were somehow able to get deep into this competition and win it, my goodness me, to win a major trophy in Europe and qualify for the Champions League, it almost wouldn't matter where they finished in the Premier League.
Yeah, Elfsborg have got possession on the left-hand side, and they've won a free kick after Hult was fouled. the left-back who once actually scored a European hat-trick for Elfsborg back in the day. Now, a significant goal elsewhere. Fenerbahce lead 2-1 at Midtjylland. That is significant for Rangers, because if it stays as it is at the moment, Rangers currently 9th, would play either the team finishing 23rd or 24th in the table in their playoff. It was Fenerbahce. It is now Midtjylland or Braga. So as things stand right now, Rangers would get Midtjylland or Braga in the draw, which is made tomorrow morning, and you'll hear news of that here on Talksport, with Mikey Moore in possession, not for long, a sliding challenge to win it back from Hedlund in the midfield. And a good turn then by Gottfried Rapp, coming in off the left-hand touchline. He's level with the edge of the penalty area, right on the corner of the box. He's got Kazim making a run outside, played inside the box, left-footed shot, takes a deflection, and the overhead kick from Abdullahi goes just over the bar. Easily the best chance that Elfsborg have created. And that is a proper warning shot for Tottenham. They have not got this done yet.
Wow, what an opportunity that was. A great initial first touch, you have to say, from Zanelli, as he just turns Dragusin, and he's on his left foot. He strikes, Archie Gray comes across, so does Dragusin. It comes off his calf, and then it's almost an acrobatic overhead kick from Abdullahi, and it's just over in the end, not able to keep it down. I'm telling you now, Brandon Austin would not got anywhere near that because he was too close to it. My goodness me, wouldn't have had any reaction time. He certainly Spurs a let off there, and it just gives them a little bit of a kick up the backside. Come on, get that first goal.
He's only scored once in his last 17 games, Abdullahi. Having had a good first half to the season in Sweden. It's been his breakthrough year. He's only 20. He's scored once in Europe and then got himself sent off in the same game. He hasn't netted since. The ball over on the far touchline, out for a throw, which will be taken in the Swedish right-back position. The Spurs fans trying to increase the volume. It's had a nervous feel tonight. Very different atmosphere tonight, as you would expect to. And I was privileged to see last night up in Birmingham Villa against Celtic. But there's much more of a nervousness here, and Spurs fans just beginning to find their voice here, sensing that the side need it. They need that positivity.
Yeah, they do, and they're trying to get behind their side for sure. You know, they want to see their team to do well. They want the manager to do well. Fed up of managers coming and going and not winning trophies. I bet you that was some atmosphere, wasn't it, at Villa Park?
Oh, not much. Not much. Great tifo as well. The massive flag of Ozzy Osbourne that was paraded down the whole end before the game started. I'm sure you've seen the pictures of that. The ball is on the Tottenham right-hand side now with Porro. That's a nice ball inside the area, looking for Richarlison. It's headed away from him by the big centre-half, Henriksson. Porro able to pick up the loose ball again on the edge of the area. Bergvall is in there, and he's lost out of Kazem. And now Hult will be able to get the ball under control on the left-hand touchline and stops and checks and turns and then goes again, getting it forward towards Kazem, who is caught in possession by Sarr, winning it back, faced up now by the left-back Hult. He's laid it back instead for Porro. Still 0-0 here, 10 minutes gone in the second half here on Talksport. Jim Bradford and Scott Minto talking through the action in North London tonight. 0-0, good enough for Tottenham in terms of the table, even if it might not be good enough in the eyes of the supporters or the manager. Might be frustrated with the performance. That first half, 12 shots to 1. XG was, as near as makes no difference, 1 to absolutely nothing as far as Elfsborg are concerned, and yet it is now Elfsborg that have had the best chance of the game with that Abdullahi overhead kick that went narrowly over.
Yeah, I saw the expected goals up until close to half-time. It was 0.01. It's now jumped to 0.5, which tells you the chance that they did have was a very good one indeed. And do you know what, Jim? The performance isn't that bad, but they have to find a way to break this Elfsborg down. Again, I'm repeating myself, there's no season going on in Sweden at the moment. They're not very good away from home. They haven't even got a point on the road in the Europa League, and they have to find a way to break this team down.
There's been another goal at Ibrox for David Tanner.
And it's Rangers 2, Union Saint-Gilloise 0, and it's a super run down the left-hand side by Cyril Dessers, and he lay across low into the box, and there was Václav Černý back from injury to score a terrific goal. Rangers 2, Union Saint-Gilloise 0.
Now, goal difference unlikely to come into play as far as Rangers are concerned. I mean, it could do. It's unlikely. Their goal difference up to 7. They're still 9th, but they're still a point adrift of the top 8. And it's FCSB who are in action against Manchester United, who are the side immediately in their firing line at the moment. That's 0-0, and it's live over on Talksport 2 right now. We'll get an update from there very shortly. Sarr getting the ball forward. The Elfsborg fans that you can hear now over on the far corner of the ground. Sarr with a long diagonal out towards the far touchline, and it's yielded another corner with more lurking with intent. Headland couldn't take any chances.
Yeah, great ball that, wasn't it? Crossfield ball. Mikey Moore just getting on it. It was almost a bit like ball with Manchester City last night with Savinho. Savinho was able to get in and score. Mikey Moore, good defending in the end.
In comes Tottenham's latest corner. Really good header away by Yegba at the near post. Back out to that left-hand side. Flashed in again. Yegba comes to meet it once more, and then waves the rest of his back line out. But they didn't keep a high line, and that allows Spurs the opportunity just to bring it forward and still keep bodies inside the box. Porro's got it. Porro, diving header from Bergvall. Well saved by Pedersen. He would have been disappointed had that beaten him, but it was a good delivery, well met by Bergvall, making a late run, and the goalkeeper dived to his right-hand side and caught it.
Brilliant from Porro, just getting into the box, realising he can't take a fourth player on, so he's whipped the ball in. And Bergvall, a diving header. He's almost having to generate the power of the header, because I say it's a diving header, he's gone down, but he's not sort of diving forward. And that, I think, has taken a little bit of power and precision of it. And yeah, Pedersen, to be fair, good goalkeeper, isn't he? And he's not going to be beaten from there. Well, not with that header anyway.
Now, news from elsewhere of concern for Spurs, particularly for Rangers. Olympiacos have taken the lead against a Karabakh side who've already been eliminated. So Olympiacos leading 1-0, and they're now up in the top 8. Rangers drop down to 10th. Now that's a concern for Spurs, because if this ends as a draw and Olympiacos were to win that by 3 goals, then they would go above Tottenham on goal difference. Their goal difference at the moment is 4, Tottenham's is 5. Olympiacos have scored fewer goals, so they need to win by another couple tonight, but a 3-goal win there if this ends in a draw, and they finish above Tottenham. And that would just increase the potential of Spurs dropping out of the top 8 if this ends all square. Yegba with a chance to launch one of these long throws inside the penalty area. Richarlison heads it away. It's 0-0 here. We're a minute short of an hour here on Talksport. Hult laying the ball back to his goalkeeper. Now Pedersen sends a long one out towards the far touchline. And Spurs have won it back easily with Gray. And Gray sends it inside the 6-yard box for Brandon Austin. Porto have taken the lead away to Maccabi Tel Aviv. Porto out if they lose, but they're up into the top 24 with that. Ball inside the penalty area intended for Richarlison is headed away by Henriksson. That goes out of play for a throw that Tottenham will take. The ball boy just a little bit overzealous. 2 of them threw a ball to the nearest Tottenham player. One at Kulusevski, one at Sarr. Each saw the ball coming to their teammate and left the one that was thrown to them. And so they ended up wasting a few seconds, but the intention was good. Here's Gray through the midfield towards Bissouma. Pedro Porro has it. It's just coming in off the right-hand touchline. We've played an hour. It's 0-0. Sarr. As long as it stays 0-0, just the more nervous it would get. And certainly a second goal for Olympiacos, maybe an equaliser for Galatasaray at Ajax wouldn't go down too well. Anderlecht 1, Hoffenheim 3 is good news, though, as far as Spurs and Rangers are concerned. It takes Anderlecht out of the top 8. They started 7th, but having taken a lead in that game, they're now 3-1 down. That was the most foul throw that I've seen for a while, and not the most foul throw that the referee's seen for a while, clearly, because play goes on. Yegba launching the ball forward. Looked as though it might have curved out of play, and certainly thought so. And when the ball eventually goes out, Dragusin got caught by Abdullahi, and it's going to be a throw which will be taken on the Elfsborg left, but Dragusin might need just a little bit of treatment. He got caught on the top of the foot, I think, there.
Yeah, and then he was off the pitch and dived onto the pitch with a couple of rolls to make sure that Spurs weren't down to 10 men and the referee would stop play. Intelligent.
Olympiacos 2, Karabag 0. Remember, they've got to win it by 3 or more, but they've scored twice in quick succession, 2 goals in 4 minutes from El Kaabi.
But if United go a goal down, then what does that mean?
If United go a goal down, they are in a little bit of trouble. Yeah. And there has been a goal in that game, right on cue. Jeff Peters.
It's FCSB 0, Manchester United 1. Diego Dallo at the far post, a simple tap-in since the restart. Garnacho on a sub has hit the post. We've just seen Bruno Fernandes rattle the crossbar, and Dallo has just rolled in at the far post. Manchester United lead in Romania 1-0.
So, great news for Manchester United. That has good news for Rangers as well. David Tanner.
And it's still Rangers 2, Union Saint-Gilloise 0. Vaclav Černý scored the goal a few minutes ago. He's just cracked one off the crossbar. Rangers really taking control of this game now. Rangers 2, Union Saint-Gilloise 0.
So Dragusin is still there receiving treatment. Manchester United move up to 3rd. Spurs 7th. They've dropped to 7th because Bodø Glimt have taken the lead away to Nice, who are already eliminated. The Norwegian side almost certainly will finish in the top 8 if they win. They're up to 6th. Spurs down to 7th. Rangers 9th. A point adrift of Tottenham and Olympiacos at the moment. So what Rangers need is Bodø Glimt to concede or Spurs to concede. Now, either of those happen and Rangers find themselves in the top 8. So it's in the balance for Philippe Clement's men. They have a chance, a live chance, with 27 minutes to go. Spurs know that there is a little bit of jeopardy, and the last thing they need is another injury. Dragusin, it looked innocuous, but he's been receiving treatment, Scott, for a good couple of minutes.
It's been a long time, hasn't it? He looks really uncomfortable. It looked very innocuous, and as I say, he made sure he kind of dove onto the pitch to make sure that there was a stoppage of play, but waiting for 30 seconds anyway. I'm not sure if he's going to be right in 30 seconds.
Well, he's not waiting there and looking at his wrist to try and entice the officials to let him back on. Play has long since restarted. An offside flag up against Abdoulaye. It might be the first offside we've seen tonight. And it's a free kick which will be taken by Spurs on the edge of their own penalty area. He's still not showing that he wants to come on, Dragusin. He does now, and he's just trotting on now. Yeah. Remember, he only came on at half-time to replace Van der Ven, whose minutes are being managed on his return from injury.
I was going to mention that. It's amazing that he's only come on to look after Van der Ven, and at the moment, 15 minutes, he can't do it. He's coming off.
Well, he's come back on and has trotted to the centre of midfield and has promptly sat down again. I mean, how is your luck? If you're a Tottenham fan, they're without Solanke, Vicario, Johnson, Udogie, Odobert, Werner, Maddison and Romero, all through injury at the moment. There are another 4 players that they couldn't call upon tonight because of ineligibility, and now they've lost a sub to injury.
Can I be really harsh? I'd rather Dragusin get injured than Van der Ven. So at least Van der Ven has done his 45 minutes. But yeah, of course, you don't want another injury. There's just so many problems, and as Ange is saying, and sometimes it can be the intensity of the training or the way you've been asked to play tactically, but they're not all muscle injuries. He has been unlucky in that sense as well.
Well, we're just having another look at the actual incident, and it just seemed innocuous, but as he planted his left foot, he's twisted his knee, hasn't he, as he's come down.
Yeah. He's just twisted, and the studs have got stuck into the pitch, and as his body's twisted, his knee has stayed in the same position, and he doesn't look right, and it's absolutely the right thing to do to come off. And what you don't want to do is, remember one time when I was at Benfica, I got injured at the knee, and I wanted to try and show us in the early part of my career, and I'm fine, and I made it a lot worse. Lasted 15 more minutes, and I was out for 4 months.
So it's all changed, because the player that has come on is Dane Scarlett. So Davis has come into centre half. They dropped Sarr into left back, Archie Gray on the right, so it's Porro, Gray, Davis and Sarr, the back four now. Scarlett playing through the middle, up front. First appearance for Spurs since the last day of last season. He's been out on loan at Oxford, where he scored 4 goals in the Championship, but has been recalled because of the injuries. Here's Bergvall working the ball across the edge of the penalty area to Pedro Porro. Scarlett has actually played 6 European ties for Spurs in the past. Still waiting for his first goal for the club, although he's scored a few out on the myriad of loan spells that he's had over the years. Ball on the Tottenham right now with Porro. Right-footed delivery in. Oh, just in behind Richarlison. Came to meet it. He's claiming he was pushed to the ground. Referee didn't think so. Ball worked out towards the Tottenham left. And now to be recycled down towards Bergvall again. Porro once more, still 0-0. We're midway through the second half here on Talksport. The side who finished 7th in the Swedish league, who haven't qualified for Europe next year, continue to hold Tottenham here, despite Spurs' overwhelming advantage in terms of possession. Abdullah's overhead kick, the closest we've seen to a goal for the opposition. Here's Mikey Moore coming forward. Moore with a little reverse ball inside the penalty area. Scarlett coming to meet it, working back round the corner. Has some old-fashioned defending from Holmian, who came to meet it, and he whacked it away. Stuck his right foot through it. Straight out of play for a throw, taken quickly. Second ball on the pitch for a moment. The officials haven't realised. The play goes on. Porro with a deflected cross. Coming to meet it near post is Kulusevski. Couldn't improvise. Yegba knocks it away. Down towards the corner flag. And it's put straight out of play for a Tottenham throw. It looked as though it was a relatively easy clearance for Rapp. He tried to buy a throw and it didn't hit Porro. It goes straight out of play for a throw that Spurs themselves take. Anderlecht 1, Hoffenheim 4 is good news for Rangers and Tottenham. Kind of takes Anderlecht out of the picture as far as the top 8 are concerned. Spurs still 7th. Rangers still the wrong side of the dotted line in 9th. As things stand at the moment. Manchester United in 3rd because they lead in Romania. That game live for you over on Talksport 2. And the Rangers themselves 2 up at home to Union Saint-Gilloise. They're down the bottom in terms of elimination at the moment. Besiktas are the one side that started today in the top 24 who aren't going to finish there. As things stand at the moment, they're going out. And it's Porto that have made their way in. Started 25th and have gone up to 19th. So Porto in at Besiktas' expense into the playoffs as things stand at the moment. But still just over 20 minutes to go. And you're listening to Tottenham against Elfsborg in the Europa League. It's live on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. Gray played forward through the midfield. Tottenham have got it with Kulusevski. Lovely ball in towards Bergvall. But he was read by Holmian, and he was able to come across, just stepped into the line of the pass, and Richarlison mops up and fires it 50 yards back for Brandon Austin. 0-0.
Yeah, it's interesting that the set-up now. Richarlison on the left, Moore on the right. Kulusevski's almost playing like a number 10 with Basuma holding, then Bergvall is trying to push on whenever he can. Very much attacking, but can they break down this stubborn Elfsborg defence?
Now Moore down towards the corner flag, finding Porro. Porro behind square. Kulusevski, left-footed ball in. Scarlett! What a time to score your first goal for Tottenham Hotspur. Oh, the look of relief on his face. Compounded by that, on the admiring glances of the Tottenham fans all around the stadium. It's taken 70 minutes. But a player that was surplus to requirement, farmed out on loan to Oxford this season, is the man that's bailed them out off the bench because of injury. And he scored. Dane Scarlett. A red letter day for him.
Absolutely, and that's what you want from your substitutes, to come off the bench and make an impact. And boy, has he done that. Ange, just looking at pictures of him, he's absolutely delighted with that. Great movement there. They got down the right-hand side. Pedro Porro plays it into Kulusevski, who just whips in that in-swinging cross. Really good cross towards the far post, over a couple of the heads of Elfsborg defenders. And Dane Scarlett with another one coming around the back and into him as well. That's a brave header right in front of goal. He's only 6 yards out in the end, but once he gets proper connection, keeper's not stopping that.
Dane Scarlett for Tottenham, and a goal for Manchester United as well. Jed Peters.
United now leading by 2-0. Kobbie Mainoo created the first for Dalu. He's now scored the second, set up by the sub Garnacho. A calm right foot finish. FCSB 0, Manchester United 2.
Mikey Moore with a shot, and that one was saved by Pedersen. And they're going to be able to get it away, Elfsborg. Well, speaking to Johan Almander before the game, who's here working for Swedish National Radio, he said that he felt that as soon as Spurs scored, the floodgates were open, and we'll see whether it transpires like that now.
Well, that's what I said as well. That first goal against a team like this is always going to be the most difficult one. You know, I don't think they're going to try and open up, but we talked about how they're not 100% fit. They've been running around like everything, trying to chase that ball down. They will tire now, mentally as well as physically, having conceded that goal. Can Spurs take advantage and end up... I mean, 1-0 would be a win and it'd be great, and you finish top 8, but to win by 3 or 4, if they can finish it off in the last 20 minutes in style, just gives you that psychological edge into what are absolutely crucial games coming up.
And Elfsborg themselves are now right on the brink. They are 24th. The top 24 go through. They have an identical record to Braga beneath them, but they're hanging on at the moment. 10 points, goal difference of -3. If they were to concede another, they go out of Europe. I mean, it's that close for them as things stand right now. The goal for Tottenham takes them up to 5th. Manchester United, remember, at the moment 3rd. That goal that Spurs scored, bad news for Rangers, because they were praying for an Elfsborg goal to get them into the top 8. Here's Richarlison. Richarlison playing it back to Kulusevski. Sarr is now at left back, just rolling the ball back towards Richarlison again. Played out and through the midfield. Spurs taking a circuitous route out towards this right-hand side, but Mikey Moore's got it now. 17 to go. Spurs 1, Elfsborg 0. As Moore won a corner, he's almost got a face full of hoarding as he just ran over the line. In fact, he hasn't got a corner. It's just gone over and has gone out.
So the website I'm looking at, it's really interesting. How do they differentiate between 24th and 25th when both Elfsborg and Braga have played 8, won 3, drawn 1, lost 4, scored 9, conceded 12?
It's done on away goals. The number, if it is a level record, which it is at the moment, it's done on the number of goals you've scored away from home, and they scored 3 in a 4-3 defeat at Galatasaray. And it's that at the moment that has them winning effectively the tie-break.
And that's why they pay you the big bucks.
Sometimes you get lucky and you ask the right questions. That's all it is. It's a free kick which will be taken by Bergvall towards Bissouma.
That lends itself to Gary Player quote, doesn't it? The harder you work, the luckier you are.
Here's Porro. And the ball comes down towards the right-hand side for Kulusevski. I love the way that I just said something with conviction and you instantly assumed it was true.
I believe you, Jim, everything you say.
Bergvall's played it back.
Lie.
Well, I'm not on this occasion, I don't think. The ball is on the right, so it's a stumble by Bissouma in the midfield. And Rapp is going to be able to bring it forward. Rapp coming across Porro, got back goal side, he was able to knock it away. Now Rapp is hurt, and he's just leaning down and stretching forward. I think he's okay, he's going to be able to continue. Nice have equalised at home to Boda Glimt. That is good news as far as Rangers are concerned, because that has them now in the top 8. They needed somebody in the top 8 to concede. Boda Glimt have done it. Nice already out, but their goal now has Rangers 8th. So Rangers, Spurs and Manchester United, as things stand right now, will all be going through without the need for the playoffs. I mean, it's mighty close, but at the moment Rangers are in 8th on 14 points. But they have the best goal difference of the teams on 14. So you needed 16 to get through in the top 8 last night in the Champions League. 15's going to be enough in the Europa League.
Wouldn't that be good if all 3 British teams could get through without having to go through the playoffs?
Well, there's still a long way to go. 14 minutes, but you sense that there's still It's so tight, so much could change. Yegber's going to take a throw here for Elfsborg. Launched in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, is headed away. Oh, it's a good header as well. Kulusevski's going to be able to get on the end of it. And he'll chase forward down the right-hand side. He's beaten one. Trying to beat Hult for pace as well. But the older man had enough of a head start just to be able to get in goal side of Kulusevski between him and the ball. And smuggle it back to his goalkeeper. They're going to make a triple change, Elfsborg, in a moment. Spurs are going to be bringing on Ajayi for his debut. But what a moment it will be for Damola Ajayi. He's going to be coming on shortly. Pedro Porro has got possession, goes back towards Bissouma. 77 gone. Spurs 1, Elfsborg 0. Spurs going through, United going through. They're 2 up in Romania, and Rangers going through, 2 up at home to Saint-Gilloise. But it's so close. And what Rangers don't need, desperately don't need, is a Boda Glimt goal in Nice. That changes everything. Bissouma. Spurs now have a significant comfort blanket. Bissouma can bring the ball forward. And they work it to his left-hand side through the midfield for Saar. Lucas Bergval's able to pick it up. Left-footed ball curved inside the penalty area. It's painted by numbers, really. He just hit it into what he hoped was a dangerous area. It wasn't, because no one was there to attack it. And Rapp's going to be able to bring it away, but Spurs have got it back, and Porro will go back inside his own half for Archie Gray. It's Scott Minton.
Yeah, they're still trying for the second goal, aren't they? And absolutely. Elfsborg a little bit out on their feet, hence the triple substitution coming up. I think the manager wanted to try and get something out of it. They might as well lose, a second goal as trying to go for it and get something out of it with the draw. But they've also got to be careful, of course, with what's happening with Braga, haven't they? Now Pedro Porro has it on the right flank. Braga leading Lazio by a goal to 0. Gray on the edge of the centre circle. And down it comes towards Gray again. Braga 1 up. If they score a second, or Elfsborg concede a second, that changes everything, and Elfsborg will be out. And as I mentioned earlier, because they haven't qualified for Europe next season, they will be out of Europe until at least August 2026 if they concede another one with the scores as they are at the moment, or if Braga score another one at home to Lazio. Mikey Moore is in possession. We've got 12 minutes to go here on Talksport. Over on Talksport 2, Manchester United in the comfort zone, 2 up in Romania as they look for a third straight win in all competitions, and would only be a second clean sheet in 15 would be more than welcome if they can keep everybody out there. Bissouma goes back for Gray. The 4 players who are preparing to come on almost having to warm up again because they've been waiting so long on the touchline for the ball to go out of play so that changes can be made. Tottenham working down towards the right for Moore. Moore is able to come off the flank for Hult. Now down to Porro. Oh, Moore's done well. He's beaten Hult. He's inside the penalty area. He's pulled it back. Richarlison snatching at it. And it's gone out of play near the corner flag than the left-hand post. Out for a goal kick. 79 gone. Spurs 1, Elfsborg 0. While the changes are made, we'll get updates elsewhere. Firstly, Manchester United's game in Romania. Here is Jeff Peters.
Well, Manchester United still leading by 2 goals to 0. They've just come very close to a third, but the ball has hit the side net. In goals from Diogo Dalot and Kobe Mainu, who set up the first one for Dalot. Some changes from Ruben Amorim. Yoro and Casemiro have just come on for Ericsson and Lisandro Martinez. It's FCSB 0, Manchester United 2.
So Spurs have made the change. Ajayi on for Richarlison. What's going on at Ibrox? Rangers in action in front of David Tanner.
79 minutes gone, and Rangers are doing their bit no matter what happens anywhere else. It's Rangers 2. Union Saint-Gilles 1-0, and goals in the first half from Nico Raskan and a goal in the second by Vaclav Cherny, enough to separate these teams. Rangers are on their knees at the moment. They've lost players to injury tonight. They had about 10 ruled out before tonight, and they are now looking very tired, but they're getting the result, and they've got about 10 minutes to go to hold on. It's Rangers 2, Union Saint-Gilles 1-0.
Twente lead Besiktas by a goal to 0, which is a goal that takes Elfsborg back out of the top 24. So Twente with the breakthrough, and that will eliminate Elfsborg. They've made a triple change, chasing the game. They brought on Kaib, Frick, and the teenage winger Ludwig Ricknier, who made his European debut as a late sub last week. But Kudos to Demola Ajayi, who's been on the Premier League bench twice for Spurs, on for his full first-team debut tonight. 4 appearances in the EFL Trophy with a goal. And now getting the opportunity in the first team tonight, playing on the right wing, Demola Ajayi. 8 minutes to go. Spurs set fair for a place in the top 8 as things stand right now. So are Manchester United, so are Rangers. And in fact, with the table as it is at the moment, Spurs and Manchester United would actually be bracketed together, and they would play Real Sociedad or Galatasaray or Porto or AZ Alkmaar. That's how the table's looking at the moment. Spurs would get one of those 4. Manchester United will also get one of those 4. But it can all change, of course, with 8 minutes to go. The Rangers, for their part, 8th in the table. And they would get Bode Glimt or Anderlecht or Twente or Midtjylland. But with the usual disclaimer that a lot can change yet. 1-0 to Tottenham with Dane Scarlett's goal 10 minutes ago. Still the difference between the two teams, and little sign of an Elfsborg fight-back, Scott.
Yeah, they're trying, but they've always been the second best team this evening. Spurs have been in complete control with the ball, trying to attack. It's just in that final third they haven't created enough goal-scoring opportunities, but that goal just so important in terms of tonight, in terms of confidence, and just in terms of making sure they don't have to worry about the playoffs at all.
It would only be their 4th home win, or 4th win, I beg your pardon, in 15 games in all competitions. Their 3rd home win in 11. But it's just the psychological boost it would give them, knowing that they didn't have to play in Europe in February. It would reduce the workload in February down to 6 games from a potential 8. And put Spurs in a good frame of mind going to Brentford on Sunday. Here's Kulusevski firing one in from distance. That's blocked easily by Henriksson. Slavia Prague 2, Malmo 2. In a game between 2 of the sides in the bottom 6, both of whom were already out. Ferencváros 4, AZ Alkmaar 1 in Hungary. Elfsborg a goal down, needing a favour now. They need Besiktas to score a goal for them to get Elfsborg back into Europe. Here's Ajayi. Oh, brilliant! What a moment for him! It's 2-0. He's only been on the field 4 minutes, and he has scored his first Tottenham goal. Scarlett and Ajayi, unlikely heroes for Tottenham tonight, but that is a brilliant moment for the teenager. Product of the Tottenham Academy. He's drifted in off the right flank and has hit it with real precision right into the bottom right-hand corner. Demola Ajayi, a night he will never forget. It's Tottenham 2, Elfsborg 0.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That's what you want to see. Again, your substitutes, your youngsters coming off the bench. Dane Scarlett did just that. And that's a really good goal, not just in terms of the finish, but once he picked the ball up on the right-hand side, he was pretty much, feet on the touchline. He's ran inside, he's played a little 1-2, he's got the ball back on the edge of the box, and he's just slotted the ball into the far post, where Ange Postecoglou is absolutely delighted. And Oyin Demola Ajayi, wow, you will not sleep tonight. What a brilliant goal.
Well, it would have been a night he never forgot anyway. But when you crown your debut with a moment like that coming off the bench, I mean, that is a really good finish. That's a proper goal. Might be a while before he scores one as good as that.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a Kulusevski type goal, wasn't it? It was a Mo Salah type goal. Coming in off the right, on your left foot, running with the ball, lending the ball, then getting the ball back. And a nice strike. No, the keeper's got no chance.
And that makes it even more difficult for Elfsborg now, because they're now behind Braga on goal difference, as we were talking about. Emil Holton has come on for them. Spurs on the front foot again. Moore's gone down. Couldn't get the cross in. He's back on his feet. They've also brought on Egert Aron Gudmundsson, the Icelandic international forward. And they're chasing the game now, Elfsborg, doing everything they can, because they need a goal, and then they need a favour from somebody. That's the situation they find themselves in. So Elfsborg heading out of Europe, Spurs in a great position. What about Rangers at Ibrox? David Tanner.
Well, 83 minutes gone, and there's been a terrific goal by Union Saint-Gilloise, but a VAR check is happening at the moment. As it stands, it's Rangers 2, Union Saint-Gilloise 1. Kevin McAllister got the goal, brother of Alexi McAllister, an Argentinian with a Scottish name, but there is a VAR check happening at the moment. So as it stands, it's Rangers 2, Union Saint-Gilloise 1, subject to a VAR check.
And we'll confirm the result of that very shortly, but at the moment, in theory, it's 2-1. That doesn't have any material effect on Rangers. Their goal difference advantage over Bodø Glimt beneath them is such that even if they were to concede that goal, they'll still be all right. They'll still finish 8th. The goal does stand, I'm told, so it is 2-1. The Rangers cannot afford to concede another. Kevin McAllister's goal, time on 83 minutes there. We played 87 minutes here. It's 2-0 to Tottenham with Dane Scarlett and Damola Rajai, and if you pick that as the goal-scoring win double tonight, fair play.
I was going to say, what are the odds of that? Might be flying off to Barbados, I think, if you pick those two.
Yeah, first class in a private jet. Yellow card for Lucas Bergvall for a tackle in the midfield. Bergvall not one of the 4 players featuring for Spurs tonight who are on a yellow card and incurring the risk of suspension. He's collecting quite a few, Bergvall. That's his 7th of the season now in all competitions. Free kick to Elfsborg, 2 to go.
It was a rugby tackle as well. It wasn't even a mistimed tackle with his feet.
Pedersen swinging this long ball forward towards the edge of the Tottenham penalty area. Headed in there by Holmien. Knocked away by Scarlett. Left-footed shot from distance is a wild one from the substitute Kaib. And sails into the Tottenham fans behind Brandon Austin's goal. So United 3rd, Spurs 4th, Rangers 8th. Perfect night for British football at the moment, with all 3 teams in the top 8, which is where they need to be. Not so for Elfsborg, though. They're heading out of Europe unless there's a dramatic late turnaround here. They only need 1 goal back here, but they would then need either Twente to concede or Braga. It could happen. Here's Ajay. Scored the second Tottenham goal. Dane Scarlett with the first. Is Archie Gray's got the ball. Gray down to the right-hand side for Pedro Porro. His ball forward is flicked on well by Scarlett. Brought down by Bergvall. Little reverse for Kulusevski. Moore in the middle. He couldn't pick him out. He's got a corner, though, off the retreating Kassan.
Should have done better there. Player of his quality and how well he's been playing this season. You know, Pedro Porro did the hard work, and then Mikey Moore did with the flick. Bergvall plays him in. He might just have been offside, actually, if it had led to a goal. But just with his right foot, I thought he might have tried to take on the defender. He didn't in the end, but they've won a corner.
Corner which is going to be taken on the right flank by Kulusevski. Oh, goalkeeper just got there in time to claw it away from Scarlett. Bissouma playing it back towards Ben Davies at the heart of the Tottenham defence. Here's Archie Gray. 90 minutes are up. 4 additional minutes to be played. And the Spurs know that the job is done now. And they've got such a massive safety net beneath them from the situation that they're in. It can't possibly go wrong from here. Job done. The main problem for them tonight is the injury to Dragusin.
Yeah, I mean, it'd just be the icing on the cake to get that 3rd goal. Looks comfortable. You go home 3-0 in the end. Yeah, it was difficult in the first half, breaking them down. We talked about the most difficult goal being the first one, and if they can get that 3rd goal, when they put their heads on the pillow, there may be a couple of youngsters who might not be able to sleep tonight, but they can certainly feel very comfortable with a job well done ahead of what are some crucial games coming up.
It's going to be interesting to see what business Spurs do. And don't forget, deadline day this year, February the 3rd. That's Monday night. It's the same night as Chelsea against West Ham, which is a live game we're bringing you on Talksport. We'll bring you wall-to-wall coverage of all the ins and outs right across the day and online at Talksport.com. Talksport, your home of the transfer window, with Mr. Deadline Day himself, Jim White, and Crookie, our chief football correspondent. Unrivaled coverage, which you can watch on our YouTube channel. There's a new episode out tomorrow with all the latest speculation and done deals. Can I point you in the direction of Talksport's Transfer Notebook on the podcast section of our app. You can get more on the latest transfer rumours as well on our website at Talksport.com. Good night for Spurs. 2-0. And Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy taking your calls. You can book them right now on the Sports Bar on 03717223344. Jamie will be a little bit happy that he might have been. Kulusevski, Bergvall, oh, Moore's touch just too heavy. Couldn't keep it within his grasp to be able to then wrap his foot around it with the second touch to fire it past Pedersen.
Oh, that was it, wasn't it? Great bit of play. A lovely little first-time pass from Bergvall and Mikey Moore. Talking about seeing youngsters scoring this evening. Well, the 17-year-old could well have done it himself there.
Yeah, we've had goals from a 20-year-old and a 19-year-old, both netting their first for the club. It could have been a 17-year-old doing likewise. He'll be a little bit frustrated, actually.
He will. He's better than that. You know, it came into him pretty quickly, but if that first touch was decent, he was literally one-on-one with the keeper.
No sign of a way back for Elfsborg. They are going to be heading out of Europe. Malmo already out of Europe. It's not been a great European campaign for the Swedish clubs. Spurs leading 2-0. With Austin working this forward. And we're deep in stoppage time here. Ball is out with Sarr over on the Tottenham left-hand side. Played back towards Ben Davies. Davies getting it forward towards Basuma. Basuma 10 yards inside his own half. Wriggles a little bit closer towards the halfway line before laying it back for Sarr again. AZ will one back at Ferencváros. It's 4-2. Olympiacos 3, Karabag 0. With different circumstances elsewhere, that could have been significant, but that's not a problem for Spurs now. Olympiacos going to be in the top 8, but so too are Rangers, Tottenham and Manchester United. Elfsborg bringing the ball forward down the left-hand side with a substitute Kaib, and then works it back away from Ajayi. Finds his goalkeeper, who slams it forward over halfway. Bergvall sandwiched between two Elfsborg players, still did well to be able to head it on. And then Moore has done really well. He's ridden the challenge of Zanelli, and he's running towards the edge of the area, and this might be his moment. Oh, it is! 3-0 Tottenham, 3 youngsters, all with their first goals for the club. What a last 20 minutes this has been for Ange Postecoglou and his men. Mikey Moore in on the act at 17 years, 172 days. Another brilliant finish, a much harder chance than the one he passed up a couple of minutes ago. Took a touch and fired it with aplomb into the bottom left-hand corner. He milks the applause, as well he might. It is the first of many for Mikey Moore. Spurs 3, Elfsborg 0.
Yeah, we cannot forget he's just 17 years of age. He's a kid. Should he be still up scoring this goal? His mum's maybe allowed him to do just that, but look, in the end it's been a very good night. I talked about just trying to make that scoreline, just even psychologically. 3-0 makes a difference. It's the game won. You've kept a clean sheet. The youngsters have scored. You've avoided the playoffs. Van der Ven's got 45 minutes. They should be absolutely delighted with this now.
It's been such a difficult season for Tottenham Hotspur, but that last 20 minutes with goals from Scarlett, Ajayi and Moore, maybe a little signpost for the future, but certainly 20 minutes to lift the heart of beleaguered Spurs fans. Great end to the game. Job done. Tottenham in the top 8. And they won't be playing in the playoffs. They're in the last 16 of the Europa League after beating Elfsborg by 3-0.
Well, that, Scott Minto, is exactly what Tottenham Hotspur need right now. not just the result. Of course, they're in much need of wins at the moment, but there was something there to lift the spirit and the soul of all of these Spurs fans. It's been far too long since they were singing "He's One of Our Own." They got to do it 3 times here tonight, and that's what any football fan wants to see. Young players from the academy sharing special moments inside their own ground.
Couldn't agree more with you, Hugh. I really couldn't. I mean, it was a great result in the end. We knew they would be stubborn, Elfsborg, and we knew that first goal would be the hardest thing to do. Brilliant. I mean, well done, Ange. He's made the substitutions. 2 of the subs scored. But you're right. There's something about fans loving to see one of their own coming through the academies and seeing them play well and score in a first-team shirt. Look, you can't be asking these kids to be doing this on a consistent basis, not in the Premier League. But the future does look bright, doesn't it, for Tottenham Hotspur in that sense. But you've got to think about the here and now. And as I say, job done, clean sheet, scored goals, in the top 8 for sure. And the Europa League, you just never know. And psychologically going forward to Brentford away, Liverpool away, Villa away, with 2 of those being cup competitions, is just what Ange Postecoglou needed.
We will be at Anfield next Thursday to see if Spurs can go through to a Carabao Cup final. Will be a big fixture. Great to see the club captain Son Heung-min go out there and go to each of those young players individually, punch the air, share a cuddle with them, and just eulogise in the moment, share the moment, do exactly what he's meant to do as club captain and make sure they feel what it means to be a Spurs player. Absolutely fantastic. Full-time whistles going elsewhere.